Well, a terrific Tuesday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. You can always text us, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. The Gregor Show is presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game, NFL, NBA, NHL, of course, or maybe like an online casino or games, or how about Lotto Max? $50 million tonight. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. The Edmonton Oilers, I think it's safe to say they know how to defeat the LA Kings. If you want to play a low-scoring, patient game, the Edmonton Oilers have figured out how to do it. For the longest time, they couldn't do it. The last few seasons, the Oilers can do it. Now, it doesn't mean you do it every night in the regular season. Impossible. There's going to be nights where you make mistakes. There's going to be nights where, you're not as tight. And some nights, the other team just makes really good plays. But last night, the Oilers, didn't have their legs early. Stuart Skinner was on, though. Unreal stop on Adrian Kempe. That was, honestly, like, you think about it, that's a game-saving save. If they score first, as Connor McDavid says, when the Kings score first and you got to play catch-up, they're really hard to beat. Edmonton has, I think, a lot of respect for the LA Kings, while at the same time having a lot of confidence that they can beat the LA Kings. And as McDavid said last night, we beat them at their own game. They did. They're patient. They waited. Leon Draisaitl makes an unbelievable effort late in a shift, I should add, to race past Moore, muscle him off the puck, goes behind the net, little Jimmy dangle, whatever you want to call it. Moore loses his footing. Draisaitl then finds Nurse, who rather than just come down the gut, Nurse moves over to get to the open lane, gets a shot. Kemper stops it, rebound right to McDavid, goal. And, that's the difference. Now, Kemper in the third period was very good. I thought he kept the game closer than 1-0. Edmonton outshot LA 24-16 in the final 40 minutes. And Skinner had to be great in the first period, just had to be good, which he was the rest of the way. And we'll see now. The Oilers, they go into Minnesota tomorrow. They flew there today. The Wild are banged, like not just a little bit banged up. How about this? Kaprizov, their MVP, he's out. Brock Faber, Spurgeon, and Brodin. 3 of their top 4 defensemen unlikely to play tomorrow. They've been out for a while. Laco's another guy. That's 5 regulars out of the lineup for the Minnesota Wild. It definitely won't be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But considering the Oilers travel and everything else, if they can get a win in Minnesota, because I think Colorado is going to be a really tough game. Second night of back-to-back, third game in 4 days. You make the travel. You've got everything in Colorado. The air. It's I've talked to players about it. It does make a difference, right? The altitude does make a difference. And so third game in 4 nights, second half of a back-to-back, not impossible to win, but if I was looking at a game where I said, hey, pretty good chance of a loss, that would probably be it, right? There are times where the schedule makes it really hard to win. And sometimes where the schedule gives you a bigger boost that you can win. Doesn't always work that way. And so that's why I think you win that first one. And I won't be surprised if we see Calvin Pickard in goal tomorrow night. I know Stu Skinner had a shutout last night, but Calvin Pickard beat the Wild, who's played well against. Remember, they went in there 7-1. And so that's just my gut feel. I would probably go Skinner. Guy's got shutouts in 2 of his last 3 starts. I know one's a shared shutout, but you know what I mean? He hasn't allowed a goal in 2 of his last 3 games. And he was excellent yesterday. Outstanding. In that game last night, Oiler fans, you were correct. Many were upset that Adrian Kempe wasn't called for his slew foot on the boards against Connor McDavid, just inside, just to the, I guess if you're facing from where the camera angle is, it was just to the right of the Kings bench. I'm sure many of you have seen the replay. It was obvious. It was a slew foot. How the refs didn't call it, I don't know. Maybe their line of sight was blocked. What we see on camera isn't what you're seeing from the eyes of the official. But it was a missed call, no question. And Adrian Kempe today, he gets fined $5,000. $5,000 for the slew foot on Connor McDavid. So there's something from last night. McDavid on his 28th birthday. Guy's 28. Crazy. On his 28th birthday, because it's coming up, I guess, on the 10-year anniversary of when he was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. I think most Oilers fans, well, they can definitely tell you where they were on draft lottery night and then the draft. But the draft itself was anticlimactic. You knew when you won the draft lottery, that was the night in April of 2015. I don't remember the date. I know where I was. I don't remember the date, but I know it was in April. I want to say the 8th. I could be wrong. Con, you want to look it up? What was the lottery draft lottery date? I'm saying April 8th, but I might not be right. So, but that was 2015. Oilers fans, you were pretty excited. You didn't even think most Oilers fans, but we're not going to win because they won numerous times. But they ended up winning that. It might even been later because it was McDavid. Now they say they might have drawn it out to like the 22nd.
18th.
Okay, there you go. So,
where were you?
I was sitting on my couch at home, and I remember literally like chuckling, and like people. I still remember it because it was the first house that I lived in with my wife, and my son, of course, was about a year and a half, right? Because he was born in 13, and I just remember watching it and being like, the golden cue card came up and it was the Oilers, and you're just like, oh my goodness. Like I remember literally people on the street, like horns honking. It was a massive thing for Oilers fans. So it's coming up on 10 years. So crazy to think how time flies. The Edmonton Oilers, safe to say you were pretty happy about how that panned out. Safe to say. And honestly, I don't even know if people as good as high as the expectations were for Connor McDavid, I could make an argument that he's surpassed them. Right? He scored 150 points. There weren't many people that was thinking McDavid was going to score 150 points in a season. And there was 2 years where he was on pace because in the 56 game season, he had over 105 or had over 100, in the 105. So really, that's crazy. Now I know on pace doesn't mean he would have done it, but the way he was playing that year, pretty good chance it would have happened. So it was nuts, absolutely nuts. I look at where they've come, and the crazy part about it was there was a player that Oilers fans already had in their organization, and I will say this with certainty: no one thought Leon Draisaitl would be the best player in the NHL 10 years ago at this time. No one. Now he'd been the 3rd round pick. If this is 11 years ago in January, he had been he was coming up on in February, or 10 years ago, he'd been drafted 7 months earlier, and was playing in the minors, in junior, and had played some games, and they went back and obviously won a Memorial Cup with Kelowna that year. But even when they saw Draisaitl, remember his first 37 games, he had 9 points. And it's a great example for everybody out there that likes to rush players. Like, look at Nathan McKinnon's first 4 years in league. He had over 53 points once. And now he's like a dominant player. Leon Draisaitl, 50-point season, his first full year in the NHL, but he had 9 points in his first 37 games. And now he is, without a doubt, a top 5 player in the game. And right now this year, I would debate with anybody who tells me there's been a better player in the league than Leon Draisaitl this season. And the play on the goal last night is just another example of where his game is at. He beats you in a lot of different ways.
Can you explain what happened in the scrum after the game?
Yeah. So, I was standing right beside. So what happened is sometimes now, unfortunately, due to cuts. So if you're a camera guy, you're holding your camera, but they don't have somebody, like Rashad, he can't hold the camera and the mic at once, right? He's got Parker. Parker's like his pack mule, does all the real work, and Rashad's just a pretty guy, and he holds his microphone, right? Same with Gene. Corey holds the camera. Gene holds the mic. Well, for Global last night, the camera guy's just he's got his mic boom. And so as he's got his camera up on, usually you have it up on your right shoulder, right? And so he's looking, on his left shoulder. So he looks through it. And so he has it, he has his camera up on his right arm, and then he's using his left hand holding the boom. And just as the interview is going on, like, I don't know if he just moved forward or whatever, he didn't see it, but his boom started kind of scratching at Draisaitl's stomach. Now he had clothes on, of course, but it was so funny. He's like, Are you doing that on purpose? And he's laughing. He's like, well, of course not. Like it was quite funny. And Leon had a good laugh with it. So if you missed it, here it was.
Really good players. Obviously, that line is as dynamic as it gets. And you doing that on purpose?
Oh, it's funny. Because even it was like he almost might have made him giggle there for a second. It was like he's tickle me Elmo, right? Because he was talking and he laughs. That's what made it so funny. So, obviously it's after a win, so guys are in a much better mood. There's no doubt about it. So, I think I said Draisaitl won. I think they lost in the Memorial Cup that year with Kelowna Cons. Like I said, they won. Double check. I'm pretty sure they lost though. Now that the WHL had a long stretch where after the old, no one was winning. So they would have lost for sure because the Old Kings, I think, for a decade were the only WHL team to win. So PA and they lost.
Oshawa
right?
won.
Oshawa beat them in the final.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
2-1 in overtime.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, but either way, 10 years ago today was, it's been 10 years for McDavid in the NHL. This is 10th season. But you think about, as an organization, how excited you were about McDavid and how virtually, like, there was almost no fanfare for Leon Draisaitl, which just shows you, like, I get it. There was lots of hype about McDavid. It's understandable. It's not a knock. It just shows you, right? Like, hype is one thing, and give McDavid credit. He's lived up to the hype. He has lived up to the hype, which is hard to do nowadays because sadly, there's, look at Connor Bedard. I tried to squash down the hype on Connor Bedard for years. Oh, he's the next McDavid. I'm like, stop. Like, if he could be the next McDavid, that would be amazing. But it's going to be really hard because we've never seen anyone skate like him. It's just how it is. So this is how it goes. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Why not just get a camera with a mic attachment? Well, it's not how it's going to work. The mic, where are you going to put the mic way above your head? And then you have the boom and it comes down. It wouldn't work that way. So now you can have some, if you're shooting one-on-one, I've seen guys do that where you can have it extending. But when you're in a big scrum like that and you're that far away, it's not going to work. So, and trust me, they've been doing it for a long time. It was just, that's the first time I've ever seen that. That's what made it so funny. So, hey, Gregor, do you know how many miles the Oilers will travel on this trip? I do not, but I could look it up. We could do some math. So, because basically you go from Edmonton to Seattle, Seattle to Boston, Boston to Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh to Chicago, Chicago to Edmonton, Edmonton back to Minnesota, Minnesota to Colorado, Colorado, Vancouver, and then home. And then the Oilers, they will arrive home this Saturday after the game against Vancouver. And then they'll be home until like February 3rd. So they'll have a good stretch, but this is like we saw last night in the first period, the old travel legs. It's a thing. I know you get paid a lot of money. You can't be tired. It's not like your body, the physical makeup of your body doesn't change because you get paid $1 or you get paid $100, right? Like sometimes it's going to be, now sometimes you could be well rested and not have a good game. That happens. But, the Oilers looked like they were a little sluggish early on. They obviously got better. And, now they go into Minnesota. It's fair to say, like, the Oilers had 7 straight games where they scored first and they were really good. Unfortunately, now they've had 3 games where they've allowed they didn't allow the first goal last night, but they didn't have a great first period. If Stuart Skinner doesn't make an unreal save, they're allowing the first goal. So, that's 3 consecutive first periods where it's kind of meh for the Oilers. So I would think they would like to end that, because prior to that, they had 11 out of 14 where they scored first and played quite well in the first period. So solid game last night. And all in all, and I said this before, when I look at LA and I look at how they play and I look at how Edmonton plays, the Oilers have a ton of respect for LA, but they don't fear the Kings. And as Connor McDavid said, they can beat them at their own game, right? We've seen 1-0 shutout victories by the Oilers in the playoffs, 1-0, 2-0 shutouts in the playoffs against the Kings. The Oilers they've showed their maturity as a group. Their leaders will play a patient game. And then the advantage Edmonton has is their high-end skill is better than LA's high-end skill. Like, I like Kopitar. I really like Kempe, but they're not McDavid and Draisaitl. They're just not. And in low-scoring games, that's the advantage. 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, have you heard the John Klingberg rumor? Yeah, I've seen it, right? He had the successful hip surgery. They like ground it down on his hips. Doesn't sound very, very fun. This one from Maddie 39 in Regina. Edmonton interested, yes, but interested doesn't mean like you're interested because you're like, hey, we're doing our due diligence to check out everything. Like, because if you can sign John Klingberg for nothing, okay. However, would I not want a conversation with John Klingberg and say, would you sign an ATO first? Like, let's see you play in the American League. Now, because now it all depends. Some teams might say, no, we'll do it. We'll sign him. And that's valid. You could. But he's not going to cost you very much. Like, let's be honest here. John Klingberg is going to sign a 1-year deal, and it's probably going to be close to league minimum. He has no other negotiating rights. Now, him and his agent are going to probably try to get more, and I get it, right? That's the business. Nothing personal. That's the business. But John Klingberg has not been good for a while, right? Like, remember, he walked away from the Stars, and he turned down a pretty big contract. Then he signed with the Anaheim Ducks and got traded. He was dash 28. Now, I know the Ducks were terrible, but still. Then he went to Minnesota and played okay. Actually, in the playoffs, I think he had 4 or 5 points in 4 games, something like that. But then last year went to Toronto, only got into 14 games. So he's coming off of an injury. Now, you could sign him to one of those Connor Brown contracts because he's been out for so long. I'm pretty sure he qualifies that you could sign him due to his age to an incentive-laden deal if you want it. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you might be a little gun shy. They don't want a ton of cap overages for next year for Klingberg, right? Like, when you get a bonus of, if you play 10 games, you get $3 million. No, thanks. I wouldn't do that. That doesn't. They tried it once. Connor Brown now is playing like the player that they wanted, but obviously last year they didn't. And now I know what his contract says, but he's still basically a $4 million player again this year because of the bonuses overages from last year. So I'd shy away from it. Now, the other thing about Klingberg, he can move the puck. He can skate. No question about it. And Darnell Nurse can be the defender of that group. So if this is a healthy John Klingberg, my goodness, I have lots of interest, but they're going to have to do their due diligence. Like, you're coming off a hip injury like this. That's a big question mark. But it's a fair question, and I fully expect the Oilers to do all their due diligence. Stan Bowman's not doing his job if he's not digging into him. And of course he's doing his job. They're looking into it. Right? There's, and if you're John Klingberg, of course he's looking at playoff teams too. Why? Like, I don't think he's going to want to come back. Hey, San Jose, you want to sign me? Like, no. So yeah, it's a good question. It's one where they're going to have to go, like, they would send people to say, let's go watch him skate. That would be the first thing you do. Because of course everyone's going to tell you, hey guys, he's skating. He looks good. Well, no. Let's get some eyes on him ourselves and see where he goes. 2:20 coming up on the show today. We will have Wyshynski will join us. We got Jason Tucker, the wide receiver coach of the Green and Gold. Struddy will be by. We'll hear from Dave McCarthy, Spec DVD. Also might have an interview with Derek Ryan today on the show. Derek Ryan in a very select group. Only 2 players in NHL history made their NHL debut at 29 and managed to play over 600 games. Only 3 guys even played over 500. Like, it's been an unreal career for Derek Ryan. That guy's traveled everywhere, man. He went from the WHL to the U Sport. Then he went over to Austria. Then he went to Sweden. Then he went to the American League. And then finally made his NHL debut at the age of 29. And basically, like 6 games, scored 2 goals down the stretch there, got impression, then still had to start the next year in the American League for 10 games before he and then hasn't been back. It's remarkable. It's a great example that you never give up. And you know what? I had a great conversation with him just talking about it. He goes, I honestly wasn't thinking about the NHL. When I was in youth sports, I was thinking about the Bears. When I was in Austria, I was thinking about Austria. When I was in Sweden, I was thinking about Sweden. He goes, now when I got to the American League, I thought a little bit about the NHL, but he never thought about it anywhere else because he goes, I got to be present where I'm at because that's all I'm focused on. We'll get to that and more. 833-401-1440 in our EWEL inbox.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Rooter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely an defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Rooter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price, with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley on a lovely Tuesday afternoon. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Lotto Max, $50 million tonight. Good luck. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, you can also get in the game tonight. It's a Tuesday night, so usually a rather busy schedule in the National Hockey League. And, of course, tonight, no different. 13 games on tap. But the Oilers and the Wild are two of the 6 teams who aren't playing. They will go at it tomorrow night in Minnesota or Minneapolis. And the Wild, are they ever banged up? Kaprizov, Faber, Brodin, Spurgeon. out. Three of your top 4 defensemen and your best forward, and arguably your best player. Yowza. So see if the Oilers can take advantage of that. Let's go around the NHL now. Brought to you by McDonald's. And stop in right now at McD's. The Showdown menu. The Big Mac David, which is a double Big Mac. You can get one of those. You can get the triple cheeseburger. Special Sunday. They even have poutine fries right now. Bacon. Oof. Check it out at McDonald's. As we welcome in from ESPN, Greg Wyshynski joins us. Greg, how you doing?
Forgive me for not knowing this because obviously we don't have the double Big Mac David in the States.
Yes.
Is there ketchup on that sandwich? Because canonically, we know from the Amazon series that Connor is afraid of ketchup.
Yeah.
From what his wife said. Is there ketchup on that burger?
Well, a Big Mac, buddy, only has special Big Mac sauce, as you would know.
Oh, so it's an actual Big Mac.
Yeah, it's just
Big Mac sauce on it.
It's 4 patties. It's a double Big Mac.
See, this makes me happy because I would be very upset if they didn't follow the actual, canonical what we know about McDavid and put something he fears on his own burger. So that's perfect. That shows me that they know what they're doing at McDonald's.
The smoky barbecue quarter pounder, the smoky quarter poppy for Matthews is there, and it's got basically the quarter pounder, but it's got a special smoky barbecue sauce, and that's kind of that. It's not much different on that one, really. Well, actually, I guess it's got some smoked bacon strips too.
I had one of those classic he's an American covering Canada sport moments when that commercial with McDavid and Matthews dropped. And I'm like, oh, they're doing Jordan versus Bird for the McDonald's commercial. And I had an entire nation be like, no, they're doing Sundin versus Gretzky, you moron. And it was very entertaining.
Oh yeah, well there you go. Yeah, hey, people don't forget. They don't forget the player challenges at all. Tonight, Calgary is in St. Louis, Greg, and in this shocking thing called Smarts, Calgary's actually going to play in St. Louis again on Thursday. We saw this during COVID, and I get why they did it then. They had to. I understand it. But this should be mandatory 3 times at least a year where you can play consecutive road games in the same city, builds a little animosity. I know you can't do it east-west, but you can do it Atlantic versus Atlantic, Atlantic versus Metro. Like, why do you think the NHL is opposed to this? This is such an easy thing, and it actually saves on travel, saves on cost, rest for the players. Yeah, like I don't see a negative. Do you?
I'm completely with you. I thought that was actually one of the coolest things to come out of that horrible situation and what they had to do in that season, which was the idea that you played consecutive games on almost, like in most cases, consecutive nights against the same team. Because you're right, it's that classic playoff thing of repetition breeds animosity. Of the second game is going to be nastier than the first because of what happened in the first. And as you said, at a time when we're all concerned about the well-being of these players and their bodies holding up through a lengthy regular season. And oh, by the way, we just scrapped the draft because of how much it costs to fly people to a singular place once every June because of the enormity of the cost. Well, it's a way to save some shekels by keeping the 2 games in the same market and not having to travel back there another time during the season. It makes total sense, and I've never really gotten other than variety is the spice of life, and we'd like to have these teams come through at different times during the year. I've never really gotten a solid explanation as to why they didn't continue doing that, at least with a couple of teams each year. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I would love it. And I think I don't see a negative in it at all. The other thing I don't see a negative in is the playoff race in the East. Now, it might be a jog. I don't know if it's a race yet. It might be a little bit of a jog, but man, there are lots of teams in it. And now I don't think the Penguins are going to stay in the hunt. I'm sorry, I don't. And I think the Rangers, despite all of their drama, will actually probably find a way to creep back in. If you had to pick today, which 2 teams of the 8, and I guess we could argue 9, that are in that race, do you think ultimately end up in the wild card spots?
I think it's probably the Rangers in Detroit. I would love for it to be the Rangers and Ottawa, or Ottawa and Detroit. I'd love for there to be a way for Ottawa to get in there and also get in there to play the Leafs in the first round, because I think that could be a delightful series. Battle of Ontario, we haven't had one in a while. I think the upstart Senators would be licking their chops. I talked to Brady Tkachuk this morning before their game against the Islanders. I was trying to goad him into a little bit of, we want the Leafs, but he wouldn't go there with me. But that's fine. I could tell that's a matchup that he knows would really galvanize Ottawa in that market. And then obviously they get back to the playoffs in that regard too. It's funny. January 3rd, I wrote a story about with a player, an executive, and I think it was a hockey historian, a bunch of others talking about the Rangers and talking about how to fix them. The Athletic has their version of it today. My point being is that we've all written these Rangers obituary stories for a team that is within spitting distance of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting in. I'm with you, man. Like I look at the Shesterkin and Quick, and I say to myself, who has that kind of goaltending in the wild card mix? Very few teams can match it. They're not good 5-on-5, but I think they could be okay enough to get in. And especially if the power play continues trending in the right direction, and they get Kreider back, I think it's all there for them to eke in what I think is a mishmash of okay to average teams. So I'll say Detroit because McClellan's really good at getting teams into the playoffs and then doing nothing with them. And then the Rangers will be the other seed.
Geez, no love for the Senators, baby. Don't count out Brady Tkachuk in the stands.
I want him. I want him. I do. I worry a little bit about him. But it would make me super happy to see. Listen, it made me super happy to see anyone but Boston make it. To be honest with you, let's just be honest. Ottawa, Detroit, Montreal is still in the mix. Columbus would be the best story in hockey. Philly is right there too. Having Sid and them in the playoffs would be great. I think the bottom line is that if either the Rangers or the Bruins miss, it'd be great for the playoffs because it means that somebody that we are very curious about will have made the cut.
Well, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN joins us. I know you're a historian of the game. So when you look at Ottawa and we started talking about McDonald's, there's a clear connection here. You could have Mary Lanen become the Hamburglar of 2025. And I don't know, the Mackian or whatever come up with a name because he was unreal on the weekend for them.
He was. I think he's going again tonight. He might be.
Yeah.
But he's been a revelation. And overall, just that team. I talked to Tkachuk about it today. The idea of playing relevant, important games at this deep into the season for Ottawa isn't always a thing that they do. And just to feel the excitement around that team and in that room. And I was talking to Josh Norris about Tkachuk and just how much he's been invigorated by there being relevant games to be played. They ultimately, as we saw last season with them, they need goaltending and they need good goaltending and they need consistent goaltending. And when they get it, they could be quite good. And they've, for the most part, gotten it for most of the season.
Greg Wyshynski from ESPN joins us. Greg, if you're the LA Kings, would you do everything in your power not to play the Oilers in the first round?
Yeah. I'd sit Kopitar for a month before the playoffs to ensure that you don't play the Oilers. We saw them against the Jets. We saw them against the Oilers. They played the kind of hockey that you're going to expect they'll play in the playoffs, a real sort of, solid defensive game, what have you. And then, you lose 1-0. And that's just kind of how it's going to be. I think there are teams in the West that the Oilers may be concerned about playing in a playoff series. I think anyone is always concerned about playing Vegas because of how good they are and how pummeling they can be. For example, Colorado, obviously, with the kind of weaponry they have, you worry about them. I don't think there is an ounce of fear for the Oilers in playing the Kings. Not an ounce.
No.
It's essentially a first round bye for this team. And so you're right. If you're the Kings, you probably aren't catching Vegas, but you could probably drop to the wild card. And I think that would be in their best interests to avoid the Oilers in the first round by any means necessary.
Yeah, Edmonton Vegas is going to be a hell of a race here down the stretch for first in the Pacific Division. The Oilers have them and Vegas being the two best teams since November 1st. They have identical records. They're 4 points back of Vegas now, and really that came in October when Edmonton they started 0-3, and it's funny an 0-3 start's the only reason where they are because since then they have the best record in the West, but they stubbed their toe for 3 games. The hangover is true. I looked at it for 11 years now, including the Oilers. The team that loses the Stanley Cup is an average 5-5 in their first 10 games. Boston's the only team that managed more than 6 wins. They had 7. The emotional toll I think it takes. Like the Florida players even admitted that coming back to Edmonton and seeing everybody together was almost like, God, now I got to relive this again. And then it finally took them a while to get over it.
Well, and it's also, and I remember talking to some members of the LA Kings about this too, once they won the Cup, which was just that when you've climbed that mountain as high as you've climbed it. And I mean, in the Oilers case, obviously there's a bit more hunger involved because they didn't win, but you just think about the climb. You just think about the journey. It's September, right? Like the last time you strapped them on was the end of June. And you're just thinking about the road ahead. And you're just like, can I do the NHL video game thing and play until a day? Can I just play until there's like 5 games left in the season, see where we are and start the playoffs? Because the journey ahead of you at that point just feels so long. And especially for an Oilers team that went to the absolute final game of the season as they did.
Yeah, no, it's true. The people come out with the awards all the time at midseason and everything. And it's good conversation. You kind of see who's in and who's out. Kaprizov's injuries, probably are starting to set him back a little bit in the Hart race. All of a sudden, like, do you think, because people will look at all new stats all the time, do you think it matters if McKinnon ends up with 20 empty net points?
No, not at all. Not at all. And maybe I'm conditioned to say that because I've been an Ovechkin defender with empty net goals for the majority of his career. I think if you're good enough to be on the ice the most important time defensively in the game, then you shouldn't feel bad about collecting points. And by the way, an empty net point, an empty net goal can sometimes be the difference between winning and losing because you're putting a dagger in your opponent. So I've got no beef whatsoever with anybody who collects empty net points. I don't think it's compiling. I don't think they're cheap. Is an empty net point any cheaper than a secondary assist? I don't know. In most cases, probably not. And so I've got no issue with that kind of thing. I do have issue though with the concession that McKinnon should be leading because Kaprizov has come back to the pack because I think it's Leon Draisaitl erasure.
Oh, 100%. Draisaitl.
Yeah, I mean, like
Draisaitl's the best, not close.
And Leon's been insane. I mean, like he's got the traditional stats case. He's got the underlying numbers case. There's a couple of guys that maybe have the value argument, maybe a little bit more. I mean, I do sympathize with the Connor Halley fans that are like, in a league where every single goaltending metric is declining, this guy is posting these numbers in this league for a team that's been that good. I do think that you've got that, and I do think he's pushing against the idea that you just have people that don't want to give the heart to a goalie. They just don't because they don't think it's fair because it's a different kind of position than a skater. I think Quinn Hughes is a good heart argument, but I mean, for me, it's Draisaitl pretty easily right now with Kaprizov having come back to the pack.
Yeah. You know what, Obi, the most points he ever had in 1 year, though, was 9. There's only ever been in the history of the NHL 12 times has a player scored double digits in empty net points. Rantanen has 13 already. The record's 14, and McKinnon has 12. Like, those guys are going to obliterate the empty net right now. It's funny because Edmonton might, and I looked it up, and I got an article coming today at Oilers Nation. Like, the most obscure stat, but I like it. The Edmonton Oilers are one of the worst teams. They're the best scoring team in the league when it comes to having a goalie in the net. And they're one of the worst when there's no goalie in the net. It's mind-blowing. Like, they'll try to overpass it. They'll miss the net. They hit the goalpost. Like, it is bonkers how they've only got 6 empty net goals this year in 30 minutes. Carolina has 13 goals in 21 minutes of empty net time.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How much does Colorado just have a propensity for playing close games? And they just find themselves in these empty net situations
they
more
got
often.
18 empty net goals this year.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That could also probably speak to how aggressive they are in trying to play 5-on-6 as well. I don't know. Listen. That is the kind of game within a game thing that we probably should pay way more attention to than we do, as far as time spent with a goalie pulled.
Yeah.
Who's on the ice when, that kind of thing. It's such a critical thing. It's like a goal line situation in the NFL. Like, you don't really think about it until you have to think about it. And so that's good. I look forward to reading that. I think it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, it's the title is Oilers Own Kings, Empty Nets Own the Oilers. So.
Well, there you go. When the Kings play the Oilers at the end of the playoffs, just play without a goalie.
Exactly.
Right?
That's clearly the key. That is clearly the key. I do want to ask you one about the Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
And there's Makar for sure. There's Hughes. But Zach Werenski has to be right there with those guys. He's been unreal.
Leading his team in scoring, well over a point per game pace, playing 26 plus minutes a night. think it's like 26-30 at this point for him. He's been such a driver for a team that's really outkicked its coverage this year as far as the standings go. It's a 3-horse race. I mean, we saw that in NHL Awards Watch last month earlier this month on ESPN. It's Makar, it's Hughes, it's Werenski. I think it actually is playing in Werenski's favor that he's going up against two guys that have won before. Now, granted, but Makar hasn't won the most recent, which I think is something that's giving him maybe a little bit more support than he deserves. I think also the threatening Bobby Orr record scoring pace from earlier this season has certainly lingered for his reputation as well, because I do think that Hughes and Werenski have a better Norris case than Makar does at this point. But yeah, the Norris is fickle. The Norris loves a new guy to give the award to. And if Werenski's stating a good case, and oh, by the way, is going to have a pretty good spotlight on him, I think, at Four Nations coming up in February as well. He could take this thing as sort of the de facto MVP of the Blue Jackets, even though I think Quinn Hughes is having a real special season. At last check, second in expected goals overall, or expected goals, above replacement behind Draisaitl this season. So, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out, but you're absolutely right on Werenski being right in the mix.
And lastly, Steve from Draisaitl wants to say, hey, Greg, if you're worried about ketchup on McDavid's burger, does that mean you're worried that Matthew's burger will only be available for 1 week and a half?
it's accurate, but absolutely very mean.
Greg, always good to catch up with you, man. Have a good one.
Catch up. There you look.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Gene Principe is rubbing off.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good one. That's Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. Gregor, how do you find those stats? Well, I look them up and then I come up with ideas. And if I can't go manually, I have somebody at the NHL office who I work with, Unreal Stewart, who, if I give him some parameters and stuff, he'll help me out on ones like that. So, because I felt like, you know what, maybe I'm dreaming, like maybe I'm wrong. Because sometimes, you think of something and you're like, oh, it doesn't happen. But now the Oilers they're the high scoring team in the league the last 3 years. They're 21st in empty net goals. But it's not because they don't get a lot of chances. They have more than, I think they rank 4th or 5th in most empty net time over the last 2 years. They just can't score. Now, it hasn't hurt them. I can think of one. I think there was one game 2 years ago where they missed the empty net, then they came back and the other team scored. But for the most part, it hasn't hurt them. But it does. It definitely probably elevates the stress level for the players and the fans. Right? Like now, McDavid shot, like obviously he's trying to score, but hits a goalpost as clean as he can. And like for those guys, like I'm sorry, Connor McDavid from the blue line, putting the puck into a wide open net, not hitting the post, like he should do that 99 times out of 100 every time. And it just seems like when there's an empty net, they'll miss it. It's mind blowing. Like even you see Draisaitl. Now, the funny thing is the Oilers went 7 games where they scored 3 times into an empty net. New Year's Eve, then on the 4th of January and the 7th of January. And all 3 times they said, you know what? Remember Arvidsson was like, oh, geez, maybe I passed to Draisaitl. He's on a 14-game point streak. Nope. We're putting the puck away. And that was in a 3-0 game. It wasn't 1-0. And I'm like, that's fine. You see Draisaitl's reaction. Like, no, we got to win. And Draisaitl did. But it's the weirdest thing when you watch the Oilers with an empty net and how often they'll have it for 2.5 minutes and then they'll get a goal. And then you have teams like Carolina. Carolina has 13 empty net goals in 21 minutes. Tampa has 13 in 22 minutes. The Oilers have 6 in 30 minutes. Colorado has 18 empty net goals. Now they've had 40 minutes of, facing empty net, so they have 1-goal leads fairly often. Sometimes even a 2-goal lead. We'll see the odd. Heck, the Bruins did it. They were down 3 and they pulled their goalie. So it happens. But so we'll go over those numbers for you. Have a little fun with it. The empty net woes. And what can they do to cure them? We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously. The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Vinny and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Vinny Open House on January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Vimy Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 7 through 12 to see what Vimy Hockey and all of the other sport academies at Vimy have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsv.ca for more info.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.248. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Texts are flying in, 833-401-1440. We'll get to all those. But first, we're going to get to our football report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. And our next guest is somebody that many of you in the green and gold and fans of the green and gold very familiar with. Of course, Grey Cup champion with the green and gold, has been a receiver coach for quite a few years now in the CFL, and he's coming back to Edmonton. He joins Mark Killam's coaching staff. He'll be the wide receivers coach. Jason Tucker joins us. Tuck, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, Gregor. How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's been a while. So
been a long while.
It has. So as a receiver coach, can you teach him how to run a really good post pattern?
You know what? I always tell them, hey, my job is not to screw you up, so I'm going to let you do what you do, and then I'm just going to try to enhance what you already do. That's it.
Yeah. But because it's true, like some guys are just better at certain routes than others, right? So obviously you want to be good at everything, but I think as a receiver coach, like you probably maybe tell the OC, hey, you know what? Bob over here is an excellent post runner, or, this guy's good on a curl or an up and out, right? Like, do you kind of break it down that way? Because every receiver, I'm guessing, has a few patterns that are just naturally better at.
Yeah, definitely. That's how we do it. As I evaluate guys and you work with them, you figure out what they're good at and what they're not so good at. And you're like, hey, he's good at running these routes, so let's put him on these routes. So that's what you do as a coach. Every coach does it. Find something that a guy does well and try to put him in his position to execute it at the highest level.
The ability to run a good route, Tuck, like, how did you learn to become a good route runner?
That's just doing it on a daily basis, as you work out, you got to, like anything else, you got to evaluate your own self when you look at things and say, okay, where are my weaknesses? What do I need to get better at? So you go back and look at yourself, on film and things like that and say, okay, I need to prove in this area. So that's what you focus on, making sure that your strengths stay your strengths and your weaknesses become your strengths, so.
Jason Tucker joins us, a wide receiver coach for the Green and Gold. And Tuck, when it comes to receivers, like, do you start breaking down film on these guys to get to know them? Do you have conversations? How does it work to build that relationship before you get to camp?
Well, what I like to do with it, I like to call each one of them. I'm an old school guy. Okay. I call each and every one of those guys and just have a conversation with them. And I tell every year, even if I've been with you, I'm going to call you and just say, touch base with you and just see how you're doing, get to know you as a person first and before we even talk football, because, you're around these guys 24/7 during the season all the time. So, you want to know who you're working with and, want to know about their families, who they are as a person, and that way, like I always said to them, I said, I want to make sure the person is good because the player will be great. But if the person is not right, if the man's not right, then the man on the football field won't be right. So I want to make sure everything outside of football is good first, and then we'll get to football.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now I'm curious, for fun, first meeting you're going to have with your receiver coach, you get your video guy to put like a highlight reel of Jason Tucker. So you just put that up here. And so the guy's like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. Okay. Like instant credibility.
What was funny? I've never done that.
Oh, but God, you should.
Guys always, after they do some homework and find out, it's like, why don't you ever show us any of your highlights? I said, I don't never need to do that. I said, if you do your homework, you can look them up. I don't need to show who I am. I did it already. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, well, it's always good.
Y'all want to see it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good that they're looking it up. Nowadays, they could look it up. The old school, they couldn't. So nowadays, they can, right? That's true. They can look it up.
Find anything these days now. So
yeah, no, that's very true. There's there's the odd Grey Cup game here or there that you might be able to show them. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a few plays here and there.
The art of catching, right? Like I see guys out there, you're taking balls, you take like repetition, I'm sure is one thing, but how do you become what was there tips you learned to become a better catcher of the ball?
Well, everything starts with your eyes. I mean, when it's come to catching, if you can see it, you can catch it. That's what I tell guys. If you can see it from the time it leaves the quarterback's hand all the way into your hands, you'll catch anything. And that's what it is. It's just total focus on catching it all the way into your hands, and that's what happens when guys drop it. I always tell them, I say, you're seeing the end results before you get to the first step. You got to get the first step first. It's catch the ball and then see the touchdown. Guys are seeing the touchdown before they even catch the ball. And that's all it is. And I just say, see it first and you'll catch it.
Jason Tucker joins us, a wide receiver coach for the Green and Gold. And you've got Ed Hervey. You got Chris Morris as your president, J.C. Sherritt, Aaron Grimes, Jason Tucker. There's lots of guys, from the past now you've been coaching for a long time, Tuck. So it's, you're bringing in guys like, Chris Morris. I don't know. I'm sure you probably saw his opening press conference at some point. Just talk about the passion that he has always had and, bringing back in his words, the Eskimo way and how important is that? And as a coach, how can you help kind of reintegrate that into a room?
Well, just being, like I said, my career was there, the whole career. So I know when that city was flourishing with championships and things like that, when the stadium was full, what it was like, for players, you take accountability for all your actions, and you hold each other accountable for what they're doing. When the team is together as one. The coaches don't have much to do, as we put the game plan together, but they're going to step up and say, hey, you're not doing what you need to do. Hey, we need to be all together. And that's how you win championships, when the team starts taking accountability for themselves and, holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
And that's what we were part of that in, 02, 03, 05, things like that, where we made those championship runs. So.
And Tuck, overall, how's your neck? Have you had any lingering long-term effects, or is everything good there?
Everything is great there. It was, hate that it happened, but, I walked away and was able to walk away, because I guess I tell people this story all the time. I said, I'm supposed to be paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
It's a blessing that I'm able to walk and do what I do for a living now. I just give all the information that I've collected over the years back to the next guy so he can use it and enhance his career.
Yeah. No, it's awesome to know you have such a good outlook all the time. Generally one of the nicest guys I've ever met who, covering that team for a long time. And you always had a pretty good positive outlook. And I talked to Dave Jameson about it lots, when that went down. And I think there's lots of people that were just, super excited for you and obviously nervous at the same time. Did it, and I don't know if I've talked to you about it, Tuck, but to get over that, right? Like to not have any, fear from it or anything. Did it take a while, or was it just always, man, I'm blessed?
Well, I'm always blessed. But to be honest with you, I contemplated even coming back and playing, because the doctor said you can come back and play, but you would be risking it. So I was even contemplating coming back and playing. And then I sat down, talked with my wife, and, just sitting there thinking about it. I said, and it just hit me. I said, I would not be the same person if I came back and played.
Right.
I would not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play the same. I wouldn't play the same way, because all in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, if I get hurt this time, I could end up paralyzed.
Yeah.
And at that time, my kids were young, so I wouldn't want to be wheeling around, sitting in a wheelchair, not being able to do anything with them. So, it just hit me. It's like, you know what? It's time to walk away. It's time. I'm blessed to walk away, so it's time to walk away. So it just came down to it. Hey, I appreciate everything that the game gave me, and now it's on to the next phase of my life.
And coaching's obviously that next phase. You've been in Saskatchewan and BC and now into Edmonton. Jason Tucker, coach for the Green and Gold in 2025. How different is he than Jason Tucker, rookie coach, when you entered the CFL?
A whole lot different. So much more that I've learned over the years, and way more tools in the toolbox now. I have a better understanding of what it takes to be in the position of a coach. First year, it was a blessing that I was able to start in 09 right where I played, because it made the transition smoother, because the same guys that I'm coaching with the same guys I was on the field with.
Right.
So that made it easier for me to get my feet wet and get an understanding, the lay of the land of what it takes to be a coach, and figure out my style and what I need to do to get my point across to guys and how I need to do it. Because there's some things I did my first year I said I'd never do again, and I haven't.
No, could you give me an example of, because what's a mistake a coach makes that you learn from, right? Like I can get running the wrong route, everything, but what's like a mistake a coach makes that now you just wouldn't do?
It's just certain ways, and certain ways you handle situations, far as just based off your personality. Like you said, I'm a laid back guy, but I'm always going to get my work done, going to do what I need to do, going to make sure I get my point across. But what I'm not is a yeller and holler and everything. And at the end of the day, I'm going to talk to you like a man.
Okay.
So you'll understand what I'm trying to tell you. And at the end of the day, all these guys want to do, they want to get better. They want to learn, So if I can talk to you in a calm demeanor and tell you what you did wrong, how you did it wrong, and say, try this, and you can go out and understand what I'm telling you. Now you can be able to fix the problem, whether me just yelling at you and berating you and tearing you down.
Yeah.
That's not going to help the situation. I want you to get better, and I did that. My first year, we were playing Calgary. We were in Calgary, the Labor Day game.
Okay.
And the guys were just dropping everything possible that game. Everything. If you ever talk to Andrew Nowacki, he would tell you, because I pulled them over I probably said every cuss word in the book, which I don't do a lot.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and I just went. I was like I blacked out for a minute because I was just talking bad to him. And the next day in the meeting, I had to apologize to him. I said, "That's not who I am. That's not the guy I am. That's not the guy I said I would be when I got into this position."
Yeah.
And I said that would never happen again. And they all laughed. It's like, dude, we didn't know who you were. we've never seen this side of you. We never saw that side of you as a player or anything.
Yeah.
So we were like, who is this guy? And like, wow, I think we didn't know he had this in him. So I said, that's not who I am. And I said, I'm always going to respect y'all. And that way, this respect goes both ways.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's one thing I would never do again. And then there's other things you figure out as you go along the way, little things that help here and there. So.
And lastly, Tuck, you've worked with Jordan Maksimic before, of course, the offensive coordinator, and so I'm assuming there's a continuity factor there, like kind of how he runs and what kind of offense he wants, and how you can integrate your receivers, to get the most out of that offense.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is year 5 or 6 with me and Jordan being together. Okay. So we it's crazy. We were sitting in a meeting, like a game plan meeting last year, and we both, had these same identical ideas. And we were just sitting there, and I started drawing something up, and he's like, I had the same thing down. He said, we've been together too long when we're writing the exact same stuff down.
Yeah.
we just started laughing because we just been together so long, so we know each other at this point. So it's just those things, you already know each other, what ideas that he has, and so it makes the game planning a lot smoother, it makes things a lot easier. It's not a lot of bickering and arguing over things. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? No, we're already pretty much on the same page, so it makes things just a lot smoother.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tuck, it's great to have you back in Edmonton. I look forward to seeing you face to face again soon. Enjoy the next few months leading up to training camp.
Sure do. Will. Appreciate it.
There you go. That's Jason Tucker. And I love it. That story, honestly, I covered the CFL and really close for the Green and Gold for about 15 years. And Jason Tucker and Mookie Mitchell, between the two of them, I'm not sure just who was just more calm and polite. And to hear him tell the story of him losing it, that's just, I'm like, you almost want to see it because you can't believe it. Because I'm sure anybody who's met Tucker, how he comes across, he's always he's got that laugh, and he's very positive person. And you know what? He's got a lot of coaching experience, and he'll come in, him and Maksimic. I think, the Elks, I'm sure you guys, we've talked about it on the show with Ed Hervey, that Geno Lewis, I thought there was a very low chance he comes back as a free agent. Now, if it's not at the contract he was getting, there's no chance. Not getting 3 sheets here. I don't think he's getting 3 sheets anywhere in the league. So, I think there's a few years there where you saw some big high-priced receivers. I'm not sure that's going to happen. So now, if it comes down to a certain number, then maybe. But I think Mitchell got let go. I think they're gonna revamp. They're gonna spend some money elsewhere. I really think their first priority this offseason has to be the defensive line. Defensive line would be priority number 1. I think it'd be priority number 2. It'd probably be priority number 3. Honestly, that's if you want to have a successful defense, and you don't want, because I know you look at the linebackers are making all these tackles. Well, yeah, that's because the D line is getting ran over all the time. It's Cons, you talk about all a linebacker with tons of tackles isn't necessarily a great sign of a good defense.
No, I mean, you can say, yeah, he's around the football and he's making the plays he's supposed to, but you can also say, okay, well, where are these tackles coming? Are they 7 yards downfield? Are they in coverage when you're getting beat? To just say blindly the tackles mean a lot to me. It's an overrated statistic. But at the same time, if you dig a little deeper into it, maybe you can find out that it is actually a positive. A lot of these, 2 to 3 yards, tackles for loss. But yeah, just to throw the number out there, I think it's an overrated stat.
Yeah, for sure. Quick break. We'll come back. We got Dave McCarthy, Struddy coming up. We'll talk about that debacle last night. Vikes fans, how are you feeling? Oh my goodness. 9 sacks. That is the most in a playoff game. And I saw some people just wanted to blame the quarterback. He's at fault for some, no question. No question about it. But their O-line, that was like a turnstile. It I'm not trying to get into a movie here. What is happening? It was nuts. The Rams were all over them. They looked really good. That Eagles-Rams game should be a hell of a game. Let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Shake those wintertime blues with Booster Juice and enjoy one of their many warm and savory grilled fresh food options made in-house daily with the finest ingredients. Visit a Booster Juice today or download the Boosters Reward app.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy day tonight in the NHL. 13 games on the schedule. We got the Lightning and the Bruins. The Leafs host the Stars, Sharks in Detroit. Caps, Ducks, Flyers, Blue Jackets. Devils host the Panthers. The Sens in New York to meet the Islanders. Blues hosting the Flames. Golden Knights travel to Nashville. Jets up against the Canucks, and the Canadians in Utah taking on the HC in the association. We got the Sixers hosting the Thunder. Cavaliers head to Indiana. Hawks take on the Suns. Pelicans battle the Bulls. Bucks meet the Kings. Nuggets in Dallas, and the Trailblazers hosting the Brooklyn Nets. One game in the PWHL. The Ottawa Charge hosting Toronto. Puck drop on that one just after 5 o'clock. An afternoon game in the BCHL as Spruce Grove fell to Okotoks on the road at 6-3. The Saints now off of the 24th, and they'll be in Cranbrook. From the NFL, the Houston Texans waving wide receiver Deontay Johnson after 2 games as they get ready for their divisional round playoff game against the Chiefs on Saturday. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll get to another edition of the Oil Report and hear from former NHLer, friend of the show, Jason Strudwick. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 1
... torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantorque.com.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome!
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday afternoon. Remember, play Alberta. You get in the Lotto Max $50 million tonight. Good luck. Woo. That'd be fun. Just remember the rule that we have in the two. If we win, we'll throw multiple parties. If you win, you invite us. I think that's fair. It's a fair deal. Be loads of fun. Man, if you win one of those, you better celebrate. How could you not? I get, hey, maybe make it private party. That's fine. We won't tell anyone. No problem with that. We can keep it hush-hush. So, got a lot of text line in 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, boys, great interview with Tuck. Watch many a connection between him and Ricky Ray or Jason Moss, most times for first-town or TD. The team is blessed to have him on the sidelines. Looking forward to the coming Double E season. Yeah, they should be good. Should be really good. Hey, boys, I'm glad to have Hervey and Tucker and all the rest back. It seems like the Elks are at least on the right path. Another question comes in. Do you think they're going to change the name? I do not. I think it's past. You can be upset about it, but at some point you got to move on. Right? Like, you think about it. Like, you've had friends in your life that did something you didn't like. Do you always, like, there's a statute of limitations, isn't there? At some point, you got to move past it, don't you? You can just say, okay, I didn't agree with it. All right, but the ownership now, they didn't do it. Management wasn't here. They didn't do it. So, I've never understood, like, punishing people today for something that happened in the past. Right? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why should people today have to pay for things that people did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago? If you had the organization that the owner, Larry Thompson, had nothing to do with it. Right? Chris Morris, Ed Hervey, nothing. Mark Killam wasn't even part of the organization. Right? None of them were. So it's not something that's going to happen. And it's time to move on, I would say. I think you've had time to mourn. You've had time to be angry. I think it's time to bury the hatchet. If you need to, you know what, go out there. Right, get some Eskimo gear if you have, and have a whatever kind of ceremony you need to move on. Because I think it's time, Connor Halley. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the Eskimos. Grew up as a fan. Had season tickets. Loved it all. Never was attached to the name. I mean, and it just didn't matter that much to me. It's always been kind of the players that I followed along with, represent the city, go out, have a good time. I understand that for some people, that's just something they can't get over. And if you didn't know, they'll tell you that they're not going back until the name changes. So,
well, then they're never going back.
They're never going back.
No.
It's just nothing's going to do it. But I mean, the chance to go watch Trey Ford and, some of these other guys are going to be out there, and then having Ed Hervey build the team, and, JC Sherritt and Jason Tucker on the sidelines there, like, I don't know. I hold out, and maybe people will just stick to their word, start winning football games. It's going to be a good atmosphere. You're going to want to start going back to watch this team.
Yeah, winning solves a lot of problems in every facet. What did you make of that? Well, it's a debacle if you're a Vikings fan. If you're a Rams fan, you're like, this is unreal. That was D-line domination from the Rams last night. Like, I know Sam Darnold, there was at least 2 sacks. I would say, okay, you held on to the ball too long. Sure. But their D-line, man, it was just relentless, Connor. Relentless.
Absolutely. Suffocating, right? And plays where you're kind of questioning Sam Darnold and his pocket awareness. Had he been able to step up, maybe you make some plays, and it could have gone the other way. But, you got to give the LA Rams a lot of credit for that. How about Neville Gallimore, friend of the show, Canadian?
Yep.
Sack and a half last night. And, even just looking into the draft class, Fisk out of FSU, was someone I know our very own Declan Kruger was very high on. Jared Verse as well. Like they were getting after the quarterback, making it tough. And yeah, I mean, I think maybe the Minnesota Vikings could have made some adjustments and, tried to, quick hitters, get the ball into their playmakers' hands a little bit quicker. But even their secondary was doing a really good job just blanketing those wideouts, the talented skill players that they did have. So you got to give the Rams a lot of credit. Don't know what the game plan is going to be going into Philly. It might be a little bit tougher, but some similarities when you look at those offenses. So yeah, I give the Rams a lot of credit for going and handling their business on the defensive side of the football, forcing turnover, scoring a touchdown. It was a really impressive performance.
Hey guys, I read an article. Herbie wants to upgrade, or maybe I heard on your show. Do you see a reunion with David Beard? That one comes from Joey. Joey, very smart. I would be stunned. David Beard's from here. He lives here. And later in your career as a player, you factor in a lot of things. Okay, so I can go to another team. Maybe they're going to pay me. Pick the number. Because the number's not going to be that much different, right? We're talking, whatever, 10 grand, whatever the number is. So it's that different. So then you look and say, okay, so I have my home here, and I got to rent a place there, everything else that goes into it, right? Like there's a lot of factors. So I think David Beard, without question, is somebody they will look for on the O-line. And do I think that he'll re-sign in Hamilton? Like I would say this: now there's still a few weeks left, but it's rare. It happens, but it's rare that it comes right down to the wire. Like, you've got the loan negotiating window right now. What are you waiting for? Right? It happens sometimes, but not that often. So I think Beard and Edmonton has the advantage because it's his home for him. And I think that's an area they'd like to upgrade. So, Joy, very astute observation by yourself. I think there's a very, very good chance it'll happen. Hey, guys, did Trey Ford's brother sign yet from Triple C in a truck? No, he has not signed. And would the Ford brothers like to play together? Yes. Remember what Trey Ford said? Of course it was my twin. But you know what? It's you want to do what's best for each other right now. And so, if there's, and hey, he's a really good defensive back, one of the best defensive backs. Now, it's a ratio changer as a Canadian, right? That really helps. No question about it. So I think if the money's close in a lot of places, the one thing, Edmonton has something that no other team has, his twin brother. And come on, think about, you're out there, especially you're close. Now, twins obviously have a pretty good bond for the most part, usually. And, if that opportunity presents itself and it's, if one team's offering a significant amount more money, well, of course you're not going to do it then. But if the numbers are close, yeah. And he has yet to sign that I've seen anyway. So he's not a free agent. The Bombers obviously are the ones that could re-sign him. And if not, we'll see. My understanding is that the negotiations, because I checked in on this about 2 weeks ago, and the negotiations at that point, now things can change sometimes in negotiation, but I think Ford's camp in that one kind of got the sense that, hey, I think I'm worth more than what Winnipeg's looking at. So there could be, you could see Ford squared in Edmonton. So we'll see. Guys, they could save on a house together. Yeah. I don't like, hey, Trey's married, dude, dad. You love your twin, but I don't know. They're not Thelma. Right? I don't think they're living together because they're married. Now, if they were single, all day long, probably. All day long. Hey, guys, the real Sam Darnold showed up from Walter. Yeah, I heard a lot of that. I read a lot of that. What do you make of that?
Well, he played a good defense. I mean, it's the playoffs,
Yes.
right? Like, he's going to go up against, the Chicago Bears. I can't say it about the Packers and the Lions because they're pretty good teams in his division. But when he plays lesser teams, yeah, he'll probably look pretty good playing with the talent level that he has. Jefferson, Addison, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, right? Like against bad teams, he's going to put up the numbers. When you get to the playoffs, it gets tougher. You're going to play tougher defenses. So I think we'll probably get into it in 5 questions about what we want to do with the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation. But I would just say when you get to the playoffs, it gets a lot tougher. And this happens to players.
833-401-1440. I think the playoffs remind you, and that's why when I break down the team's records in the NHL, I think it's important you look at, okay, how are they faring against non-playoff teams right now? And then sometimes even break it down to like top 12 teams, because sometimes you'll have like, look at the West right now. The top 7 teams in the West, there's a clear gap between them and then the other playoff team in Vancouver or Calgary, who's ever in that spot. Now, Vancouver could close the gap if they get healthy. Calgary's roster, I'm sorry, I go top to bottom. Their roster doesn't match up to Edmonton, Vegas, LA, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, etc. Doesn't. Vancouver, if they're fully healthy, you can say, okay, geez, they got Quinn Hughes. They got Pettersson's playing well. Miller's playing well. Demko's healthy. They got a pretty good team. But, and then if you look at, like, when I say non-playoff teams, well, playing Chicago and Anaheim, for the most part, is a lot different than playing the Ottawa Senators, right? Who are right on the cusp of a playoff spot right now. So there's still some differences. I like sometimes breaking it into, like, 11-11 and bottom 10. Right now, it used to be easier when there's only 30 teams. Just go 10-10-10. But you get into the better teams, and especially in football, when it's a one game off, you can get exposed. In a 7-game series, that's why hockey's so crazy and unpredictable is, you know what, let's say this one other team's better. And we've seen teams, you outshoot the opposition 40-20 in a playoff game, and the opposing goalie stands on his head. You win the game. Now, he's part of the team, so you can make the argument that team was better because they won, but they won because one person was able to really kill it. So last night, it wasn't one guy for the Rams. What did they have? 6 different guys get a sack? I think it was. You look at their offense, lots of contributors. Like, that was a real team win by them, and they dominated last night. So we'll come back, chat with the guy who's, hey, his team's not close to the playoffs. Like, the good question, will they be ever a playoff team in the next decade? Probably a valid question. Also, I'll tell you right now, Struddy is going to have to do this interview wearing sweats because he is so excited to talk about the Oilers' defensive game last night. It's coming up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Oodle Noodle origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.27. I will say, Cons, there's some really good tunes, I have to say. Like, there is a good collection of ABBA songs. There's never a shortage of which one to pick. Lots of toe tappers too. I can see why. I even had one of our listeners send this like bathroom that when I don't know if you saw that, Cons, on X, where it sent it to Struds, and I think he might have included you on it, just about Struddy's dream washroom. This guy turned the lights on, had like a ball, and was all ABBA music. Like, oh yeah, trust me, Struddy would be in there, but.
Don't want to open up old wounds, but no stage fright opportunities for this one too, like private.
You know what? That was funny you brought that up because I don't think he could do it.
Oh no!
Like even if it was ABBA, there's no chance, right? So yeah, he'd get too nervous right away. Even if it was his own private one, he'd be, oh no, someone's singing. I can't do it. Let's get to Struds On, brought to you by Action Electrical. Building owners can earn a refundable federal tax rebate up to 30% off solar projects' capital costs. It's known as the ITC. Want to learn all about it, how to get it and qualify? Go to actionelectrical.net. I'll help walk you through it.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea, and it is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you hand me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. You know, I mean, you need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
Struddy, how you doing, man?
I'm good. You know what? I was actually at a bathroom this past weekend, and I thought of you guys. It was at a movie theater, and it was so narrow. They had urinals on both sides. I swear to God, it was pretty much back to back. You want to talk about freaking out? I walked in, and then everyone was in there. I couldn't back out, so I went there and put on the show, right? Pretended I peed, and then I went and washed my hands, but nothing came out. So then I waited until mid-movie, and then I went back in and I peed. It was so embarrassing, man. But it was back to back, man. It was back to back. What kind of people pee back to back?
What do you mean back to back? Like there's like a little hallway, and if you turn left, you go there. And if you turn right, you go there, and it's like a foot between you.
Well, to me, it looked like they forgot to put the urinals in. So they just had a little closet and they put it in there, and then the urinals were across from each other, but there was no space. It was like trying to pee. Honestly, if we went on a Greyhound bus and we both stood in the aisle and faced the seats and tried to pee, that's how close we were. I'm like, it was crazy. And then people were trying to walk by. It was so awkward. Excuse me. I'm like, oh my God. It was like torture. It was, you want to torture me? Send me in there again. I couldn't believe it. I stopped drinking. I didn't drink any more pop after I saw that.
Oh my God. What movie did you go see?
Mufasa. It was good.
Oh, was it good?
Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. I loved it.
Okay. I like it. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Now I know, Struddy, I was watching last night's game, and it's like hockey porn for Struds last night. Like that. Like, now the first period, Edmonton was a little sluggish, but Stuart Skinner was unreal. But really, from the final 45 minutes, that was like a clinic defensively. And Ty Emberson and Darnell Nurse, you must have been having sweatpants on watching those two last night.
Right. It was such a good game. And let me just explain why I like it, because it's a low scoring game. So every play, every decision you make is so important. When it's 7-6, it doesn't matter. It's like last shot wins, but not in a game like last night. So I thought both teams were really patient with their play. There were some really good saves by both teams, but I think you're right. Like, I thought Troy Emerson, that might have been his best game as an Oiler. He was physical, absolutely hammered Jeannot. And I love that he went after the big, like, they're one of their heavy hitters. He went after him. There's a lot of good plays all over the place. And, towards the end of the first, they started coming on. And then the Oilers kind of took over, not in a massive way, but they tilted the ice. And they kind of got the job done, and they were patient. And that to me is a very, very mature team, the Oilers, how they played that night. And for Kings, I'm like, they're probably wondering, what do we have to do? What do we played they played a good game. They could have won it, but the Oilers won it, and that does matter at the end of the day.
Oh God, yes. And like Edmonton, Connor McDavid said, he goes, I think we beat them at their game, right? Play patient, got a big save. And really in the third period, Struds, the thing I liked about the third was it's a 1-0 game, and Edmonton didn't sit back and just, like sometimes you're on the ropes, you're taking body blow after body blow. Darcy Kempter kept this game close in the third period.
He played a good game, and I think for the Kings, obviously, it looks like they're tracking towards another meeting here in the playoffs, at least in the short term here. It does, and Kemper's going to have to be really good, and he's got to play well. But Skinner was up to the task on the other side. He made like that glove hand save. You can call it lucky, call it whatever, but I call it a save. Right? I'm happy if I'm there. I'm like, yep, that's the save we needed, because it could have gone the other way. So. It was a good night by the Oilers. They basically played 5D. They dressed 7, but really played 5. So I think we maybe got an idea of what, in a really tight game, who they trust. Because Stetcher and Brown, if they're your 7-8, I think it's great. But after last night, I think it's hard for anyone to sit here and say, oh, no, they trust those guys in high-pressure situations. Well, they didn't play them.
Yes.
So they don't. So I think that anyone who is doubting their desire to get another D-man, I think last night was the night it's like, yep, they'll find another one.
The John Klingberg name has come out. After surgery, he's healthy, wants to resume playing. Would you have any interest, if you're the Oilers, in looking at Klingberg?
Such a wild card. That the Jonathan Toews name was floating out there too with Stan Bowman, and it's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
So let's say this, Greg. Let's say they decide, yeah, Klingberg's our guy, and Toews is our guy, and Kane is our guy. That's 3 massive wild cards. You have no idea what you're going to get out of those guys. And they were elite players. There's no doubt at one point. But, Kane, I think, at least has a chance to be something like he was before. The other two, I guess it's possible. But I don't know. I just have a hard time believing. So Klingberg's the type. I'd like to have a puck mover like him. But I could also get around the idea of someone's a little bit more heavier style of play. They can still move the puck. So, yeah, I would say, putting on making the answer, I'd say no to John Klingberg, because it's such a wild card. You have no idea what you're getting.
Yeah, Klingberg hasn't played an NHL game since Remembrance Day 2023. So we're already at 14 months, and who knows when he's back on the ice. So like, if you added another D-man and then said, we'll take a flyer, maybe Klingberg's our number 8 or whatever. Okay, maybe. But I'm with you 100%. I can't bring him back now, because if John Klingberg was the player he was in Dallas, him and Darnell Nurse would be amazing as a tandem.
Oh, for sure. And that's a good point. So if he says, I'm going to sign for the league minimum and you're going to bring him in, okay, I can, is he going to be an upgrade on, the 7 or 8 you have now? Yeah, I'll take that chance. But I don't want him to be the solution to the 6th spot or whatever, that to the top 6. I just don't see that being the solution I'd be looking for. But If you want to take a guess, or throw the dice and see what happens, sure, I'll take that chance. But nothing more than minimum. Nothing, like I said, he'd be your 7 at best and work his way up from there if he can play it into it.
Yeah. I don't see him now. There are some guys I look at. There's Connor Murphy in Chicago, although he's banged up. Ristolainen in Philadelphia, Struds. I've been looking at his underlying numbers. Now he's got a $5 million cap hit. The Oilers, Philly would have to eat some cap hit for sure, right? Like, I don't know, do they 35% maybe or whatever? But Rasmus Ristolainen, do you have any interest in him?
When he first came to the league, I was in love with the player. I loved the idea of him big, and he had a big shot. Didn't get around too badly. And it sounds like he's done a lot of work on himself. And I've watched some Philly games, and I think there might be he could be an option. This is my concern, is that I don't see him as a real pounder, and I don't see him as a really good puck mover. So I think you kind of want to be one or the other. And I'll throw a name at you, Jacob Trouba. If you bring in Jacob Trouba, you know what he is. He's going to move the puck decently, but in the playoffs, he's going to be an absolute animal out there trying to hurt people. And it's clear what he's going to do. Ristolainen, yeah, he's going to play. And is he going to play beside Darnell? Probably, because he got Emerson already. So I'd rather have Trouba than Ristolainen, because he's a defined, exactly what you're getting from him in a playoff, hopefully long run.
Yeah. Jason Strudwick joins us here on Sports 1440 Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And Struds, Leon Draisaitl, just in different ways in every game, is finding a way to impact the game. And that play on the goal last night, just like Leon Draisaitl to me right now, and honestly, he's clearly the favorite for me for the Hart Trophy, for all of his offensive numbers, but also all his defensive numbers. And he's making plays like that. He takes tons of face-offs all over the ice. As good as he's been before, I think this is his best season to date so far. Now, he's still got, just under half the season to go. But I think this is the best first 43 games I've seen Draisaitl play in a season.
And I think complete. We're talking about a complete game.
Yeah.
That goal last night, Moore is a fast skater. He caught him and then just tossed him out of the way like it was nothing, right? And then takes the puck deep and draws 2 kings to him, finds Nurse, and we know what happens after that. But I love that from Leon, and it's like he's just decided we're going to win this year, and I'm going to make sure that we get there. Like the way he's playing, the way he's leading, his 2 line mates, he seems to like to play with them. They continue to be on his line. Those guys they're working hard together. They're all maybe a little different line that you'd like to see, but they're getting it done as a group. So yeah, I think that Leon and then leading the scoring race is there as well. Would have been nice if he could have gotten MTNR last night. That might have been a bonus, but he is, to me, the favorite, and I don't think that's biased at all. You look at some of the others. Maybe McKinnon. Could you talk about Hellebuck? Maybe he's another guy that would be there. But what he is doing for this group, especially beside another superstar or the superstar in the league, to me, it's incredible what he's accomplishing.
Well, that's that game on Thursday. It's too bad it's a second half of back-to-back, because I was looking up the travel, like from Minnesota to Colorado. That's no joke of a back-to-back stretch. Yeah. Like that, honestly, like if I was looking at the Oilers schedule this week, I might say schedule a loss against Colorado.
Yeah, it's too bad, and you know what it is, Greg? It's like, yeah, you want the Oilers to get all the 2 points they can get, but I want to see a good hockey game. That's what I wanted to see. Like last night, that was an enjoyable hockey game to watch. So if the Oilers, that's their 3rd and 4th, plus the travel, plus, you go back and look at the other travel they've had, that's going to be a really tough matchup for them at any time. But if they're not 100%, I think the league fail the fans by not having those 2 teams relatively fresh or as fresh as they can be for that matchup. And I think Canadians, we give Americans a hard time, but we forget how big the U.S. is as well and how spread it out. We know LA and New York, but you're right. Like Minnesota to Colorado, that's a pretty long flight. And those guys are going to be flying around, like they're flying today and they'll fly after that. So I just hope that the team is fresh so we can see a good hockey game, because selfishly, that could be an absolute beauty to see all those guys go at it on that second game.
Looking at the NFL study, what did the first round of the playoffs? It kind of separate the pretenders from the contenders a little bit here in the opening weekend. There was lots of teams who we thought would win. Now there was one really close game, of course, Washington, Tampa Bay. Which of the matchups intrigue you the most this coming weekend?
You know what? I guess I'm going to go. I want to see Detroit, right? Detroit and the Bills are probably those two teams specifically. I think that there's a good story there in Buffalo with what they're trying to accomplish, and they're trying to make it up. And then on the other side, on another game, you got Detroit and those guys trying to make themselves, kind of relevant with some of the injuries they have. So those are probably the two ones I'm most, just because I like those two teams. Obviously, I don't think the Giants are in the playoffs this year, so those are the two teams that I'm rooting for.
Were you surprised by the Vikes getting dismantled last night?
I'm a bit embarrassed. I'm in a pool, and I picked Sam Darnold. They had a pretty rough week last week, Sam and his team, and I was getting a hard time in the group chat that I picked Darnold. And after like a quarter, I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I couldn't even answer the group chat. Right? It was bad. And it's funny. I don't know if I was texting Connor or he said it on air or something, but I'm like, Sam Darnold's maybe a guy the Giants would sign just to like hold on for a year or two, to kind of till they find a quarterback. Well, after watching that, I guess it'll help get us to the bottom because that was a rough one. Yeah. That was a really rough one.
But not just him. Their O-line was terrible. Like, I thought you watch that, you'd be like, oh, I've seen this movie before. Like, they got obliterated all over the field, man. It wasn't just a quarterback.
No, but they have talent at the skilled positions, right? There's lots of guys to pass the ball to, and he was unable to find them or unable to have time to get it to them. That was a hard one. Those poor guys. It's tough one.
Tough one for sure. Lastly, when you look at the orders and you see the lineup last night and they went 11-7, which I know they're not going to go regularly. And, Jeff Skinner sat out 2 games. I won't be surprised at all to see him back in the lineup tomorrow. And, they probably move Janmark back to the middle. But when I look at Kapanen, I just look at the left wingers because Skinner's not going to play the right side. So I look at Kapanen, I look at Janmark, totally very 2 different players. And then I look at Podkolzin, 4-checker, second line, being there. Like, the best fit maybe for Skinner is either, I guess you could play with Henrique for a bit in an offensive role, but it honestly might be put Skinner with McDavid and put Nugent Hopkins with Henrique and try that for 5 games, right? Like, that, to me, the only way to think that Skinner might work is that. Or am I wrong?
No. And, I think the message last night would have been a tough one if you're Skinner. And it sounds like he's saying and doing all the right things, but, we'd rather dress nobody as a 12th forward than to dress you. Right? Like that's a hard one. I mean, this guy's 1,000 games in the NHL. And they bring in, I believe it was Josh Brown kind of to have a little heavier team if things got heavy, so that Nurse or whoever doesn't take it over. So, that's a really tough one. It's one thing to get scratched, another to dress no one in that spot and you're just watching. So, Griggs, I agree with you, but when there were injuries, Skinner didn't get much of an opportunity besides McDavid. So I think your reasoning sound, but there was that opportunity. So I have a hard time believing it will happen, right? Because it hasn't happened yet. So I told you this, I think a month or more ago, like this will end in a divorce. Like I can't see it working out because Skinner wants to play now. I guess you can keep trying and they'll keep trying to find a spot, but you're starting to run out of spots for them. Guys are kind of solidifying their spots and then get the trade deadline coming up. And I don't know, they acquire a top 6 player, but maybe King comes back in the playoffs. Like I don't know, man. It just after a while, you kind of got to listen to what the coach is saying with the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. No, hey, actions always speak louder than words, 100%. To me, I look at the only way it might be salvageable, and I agree with you, they probably won't do it. And the funny thing is, like, Nugent Hopkins, just on a pure offensive numbers, 5-on-5 is having a terrible year. Terrible 5-on-5 production for the Edmonton Oilers. It's like 15th in 5-on-5 points, basically playing the whole time in the top 6 and mainly with McDavid. Like, it's not been a good year for him there. And I know that, his defensive play, and which isn't ideal, I think at times maybe it's overrated, but his ability to get the puck quickly to McDavid is his best skill set on that line, and he's very good at it. And that's the one thing Skinner, he likes to hold on to it a little bit longer. And I think that's a reason why he might not see him with McDavid.
Yeah, he does. He does like to hang on, and you got to feed the guy in the middle, right? And that's, I think, why Leon really likes playing with Arvidsson and Podkolzin, right? They just are going to, go get the puck for me, and then you're going to pass it to me. Like, that's kind of how it works. And not that he doesn't want to work for it, but he wants to have the puck on his stick. So, I don't know if Skinner was unable to make that adjustment, or he didn't get the chance, or they recognized early that he isn't that guy, but I know he's got the no movement. They have to figure that out. He has to figure out what he wants to do. But maybe he'll stay because, I do believe if they get into let's say they make 4 series, I believe he will score an important goal for this team. Think of David Desharnais. When he came in, he was traded for, I think it was an overtime goal he scored. He scored one important goal.
Yep.
And I think that he can do the same. He has that skill set. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough for him and for the Oilers. We'll get him in there and we'll keep that depth and he'll get that one big play that we need and he'll get it done.
Struddy, have yourself a great day, my man. We will chat with you next Tuesday. Hey, by the way, what theater was where was the haunted house theater for you?
Well, I was actually in Vancouver, and honestly, guys, I love movies. Like I said, I was enjoying the movie or about to go in. I couldn't pee, so I had to wait for half an hour. Then I went back out and I got a pop. I couldn't drink it because I was worried I'd have to pee again, and it was busy. I wasn't even focused on Mufasa, but for what I remember, it was a good movie.
Have a good one, Tinkle Toes. We'll talk to you next week. There you go. That's Jason Strudwick. For those who don't know, he has a real fear. He doesn't like it. So of course I know many of you are going to say it, but when he's at the Oiler game, and if he has to go into the public urinal, no one can talk to him. He can't handle it. He gets a little bit of stage fright. It's a real he's really got to just stare ahead and Serenity Now, have some deep breathing exercises. Just to try to go. Oh man, I don't know. That one to me is somewhat funny. I'm sorry. That one's he has to crush a few shots before he goes sees the doctor. He's got some real funny quirks. Quick break. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We'll return. We got some more NHL news to discuss. Some free agent, not free agent talk, but a rumor that many of you are curious about. We'll get to that more.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Elevate your game with the Basketball Show, hosted by me, Paul Sir. Tune in Saturday mornings at 10 for expert insights, exclusive interviews, and the latest hoops action. It happens right here on Sports 1440.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Edmonton, get ready to step up your shoe game. The all-new Skechers store is opening its doors at West Edmonton Mall. Join us on January 17th for a grand opening celebration you won't want to miss. We're talking great savings, giveaways, and a special guest appearance. Hockey fans, meet the one and only Paul Biz Nasty Bizanet from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for the first 1,000 customers, we've got a commemorative puck and performance water bottle. But wait, there's more. During our grand opening, enjoy 30% off all footwear and 50% off apparel. From performance shoes to stylish sneakers, we've got it all for the entire family. Your perfect pair of Skechers is waiting for you at West Edmonton Mall. Don't miss out on the biggest shoe event of the year. Skechers at West Edmonton Mall. Grand opening January 17th. Be there.
Oh, yeah. Portions of this hour brought to you by Epcor. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that is safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
50. A lot of fine text coming in, 833-401-1440. Hey, boys, did you see the one Ram defender when Jimmy Superfly Snuka? That was hilarious, actually. Who was that, Cons? It was number 8. Like, oh, my God, it was just like the pancake splash where, like, literally his arms stretched. Now, he didn't land right on him because I think that probably would have been a major foul. But it was hilarious.
That was their first round pick, Jared Verse, out of Florida State.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But like that was, oof, man, like you almost got to the point where you just like, God, I kind of feel sorry for Darnold right now. Like he was just under siege, non-stop under siege. And guys, with Kempe's slew foot, to me, it just reiterates the Oilers' lack of toughness. Well, I guess here's my question. So let's say you had, I don't know, Trent Frederick on your team. What's he going to do to negate that from happening? The Kempe Kopitar line played a lot against McDavid line. So unless you're going to play Frederick on his line, how did people feel that if you have a guy like that, that suddenly it's not going to happen? Right? Like I that's to me, having physical players, like when Evander Kane plays with McDavid, then there's an instant reaction to any play. But Adrian Kempe is not a goon. He doesn't have a remote history of being that, right? He made one isolated cheap play. He got fined $5,000 for it. But honestly, how do you think, like, because if you had a Matt Rempe or a Reeves or like, that's not, Adrian Kempe's like, good, put him out against me. A, I'm not going to fight him. And B, I'd love to play him 5-on-5. So if I look at what, what goes on in a game, like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the Oilers, getting lots of liberties taken on them. Like now, anytime there's a play, like look at McDavid. McDavid's hit on Lafayette, right? He runs him into the boards. If somebody hit McDavid like that, would that be a cheap play? And would you be mad that there was no reaction? Right? Like Lafayette turned around himself, grabbed McDavid by the leg, like did nothing. I saw some people trying to claim that, and oh my God, that was so cheap. Oh, please. He picked him up by a leg and Connor McDavid like fell softly to the ice. Right? And then Kapanen grabbed him. Great. They're coincidental roughings. Like nothing happened there. But like hockey's a physical game. Contact's allowed. And every now and then there's going to be the odd cheap shot. I don't know. I don't see the Oilers having their show run on a night-by-night basis in the NHL. Will there be a cheap shot in 43 games? 100%. But last year, the Oilers had Vincent Desharnais, they had Kane, they had Nurse in the lineup all the time, and they fought. And there were still plays where guys would try to take liberties with McDavid because you're not in today's NHL with the instigator rule. If I'm going up against Connor McDavid, I'm not thinking about, oh, geez, if I cheap shot him here, I might have to have Evander Kane jump me. I'll be like, you know what? I'll take my chances. A, we're going to get probably an extra penalty. B, if he jumps me, I turtle. By the time people jump in, I'm taking a few stinky gloves to the face. Like, how much damage is really happening? Right? What you need are players who make the other team uncomfortable by their actions, not reactions. You can't just say, hey, we got toughness, but we're only reactionary. You've got to be initiated. So if you tell me the Oilers need some more physical players, I will 100% agree. 100%. The Oilers need more physicality in their lineup. There's no doubt in my mind they do. Not a massive amount, but some. No question. I would agree with that. But they don't need more guy. Oh, look, someone hit McDavid. I got to react. Because the action's already done. And I don't believe in today's game you can have players that suddenly... Now, there's the odd guy maybe. Like Matt Rempe's big, and obviously he's crossed the line lots. He'll fight a select few players. I should say a select few players will fight him. Right? There's a select few guys that will fight him. But he'll get guys to keep their head up because he runs around at players. That's where he's more valuable than fighting Olivier and McDermott and Reeves. Right? Like, not many other guys are going to fight him. Why would you? But you got to keep your head up when he's on the ice. Now, can he figure out how to stay and not be suspended? That's the question. Time will tell. So far to date, he has not shown that. Right? He's not shown it. So, hey, guys, I'd rather just have the refs do their job and stop evening up calls. Penalize the one team. Lafayette should have gotten a 4-minute roughing and cap it in 2 minutes. It applies the other way, too, from team. So, Lafayette should have got 4 for roughing? Why? So, if you're going to give him the roughing for picking up McDavid, what does Elsie get a roughing for? Kapanen came from behind, grabbed him in a headlock. It wasn't roughing up with Kapanen, so where's the extra roughing minor there? Honestly, where's the extra roughing minor? If you want to give him the original on McDavid, he did get it. And then Kapanen got one because he jumped on the ice and grabbed him right away. That's why I got one. I didn't see an extra minor for Lafayette on that play. Now, did they miss the slew foot? 100%. I don't like slew foot. It was interesting. I was talking to an owner in the Western League last night at the game, and he's been leading around the league for a long time. His one concern in the WHL right now is that they're seeing an increase in slew foots, and he hates it. And he feels like they got to really cramp down on it. He goes, there's some things they've done a pretty good job of eliminating, getting out of their game. But headshots, he still doesn't think they punish enough in slew foots. And that's from a guy who's been around the league for a long time. So I don't think we have a slew foot problem in the NHL. I do think that was a missed call last night. Valid. And Kempe got fined. Now, I know the Kempe fine has no bearing, on his long-term life. It has no bearing on the Oilers' result, right? They could have got a power play and maybe scored and maybe made life a little easier. We'll never know. But missed calls will happen every now and then. Adrian Kempe's not a noted dirty player. Now, does Edmonton, we'll have to see, is there a time where Edmonton has a cheap play that doesn't get penalized? The old, eventually, not that the ref purposely does it, because it'd probably be different refs, but will they miss the odd call? So, I thought the reffing last night was fine. Like, other than the slew foot, I didn't have an issue with the officiating last night at all. The game wasn't like, that's like, I know people say, oh, it's close to a playoff game. Well, excluding the physicality. LA had 8 hits in that game. Edmonton had 15. And I thought Edmonton, and I'd like to know how many of those hits came in the first period. I could probably find out, because that's when Edmonton didn't have the puck as much, so I'll see. But That's the one thing that was different last night was you didn't have you didn't have a lot of physicality, which you would normally see come playoff time. But the Kings, they're a bigger team. They're not a real run you type of team. And the one thing I noticed last night that stood out for me, man, Phil Deneau he's not close to being the guy who used to be able to put out there comfortably against other teams' top guys. No way. They can't do it. And I look at LA and Byfield, he skates better than I thought. Did you see a few times he just pulled away from the Oilers? If that guy could, and we had Dennis Bernstein on the show yesterday, he said, man, you got to get him to be that alpha dog. And if he can't, because he moves for a bit, he is huge. And if he starts to become more assertive, they could be a handful. But right now, Deneau is a number 3 center, all day, every day. And I don't think he's big or strong, and he's definitely not quick enough anymore to if you're going to get matchups against Draisaitl and McDavid against Deneau, you will take that all day, every day, twice on Sunday. No question in my mind.
Gregor, today I was talking with obviously Brandon during Fantasy Frenzy. Quentin Byfield, is there a guy in the NHL that makes you want more? With his skill set and ability, I'm just man, if this guy puts it all together, he's going to be a weapon in the NHL.
Oh, God, yeah. 100%. He's got a lot of the tools in the toolbox, shall they say. Quick break, Dave. McCarthy will join us. We got Spec, DVD. Also, tomorrow's show. Very excited about this. So a gentleman who came up, he was a COO for the Montreal Canadiens for many years. And working close with the team, he constructed over 25 years of research looking at a plan to build a championship team. LA used the plan. They won twice. St. Louis had a similar one. They won once. Tampa Bay had similar. They won twice. We'll talk about that in the Business of Sport tomorrow at 4:00. I think you're really going to like it with myself and Rich Winter. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that tomorrow. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in. Of course, right now you have the mid-winter sale going on. 20% off all in-stock tires. Premium brands, unbeatable safety, credible savings. Right now at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Tuesday night in the NHL, 13 games on the schedule, including the Lightning in Boston. The Leafs will host the Stars. Sharks take on the Red Wings. Ducks in Washington. Jackets up against the Flyers. Panthers battle the Devils. Islanders host the Sens. Flames in St. Louis. Preds up against the Golden Knights. And you've got the Canadians taking on Utah. Also, Winnipeg will host the Vancouver Canucks. In the association, the Cavs taking on the Pacers. Sixers host the Thunder. Pelicans meet the Bulls. Bucks up against the Kings and the Nuggets in Dallas. One game in the PWHL as Toronto's in Ottawa. Puck drop 5:00 in that one. Earlier today in the BCHL, Spruce Grove fell to Okotoks 6-3. The Saints now off until the 24th when they'll be in Cranbrook. And in case you missed it, Los Angeles King forward Adrian Kempe fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement for slew putting Connor McDavid last night in the Oilers 1-0 win. The money does go to the Players' Emergency Assistance Fund. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and go around the NHL with Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top-shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Doc, I really want my hair restoration to fly under the radar, but I recently read that men have to shave their heads and go full Lex Luthor before treatment.
The majority of my patients don't require head shaving because we can work around it. I can perform a no-shave FUE transplant or an FUT transplant if we determine that a transplant is necessary. Let's discuss your options.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site heavy equipment service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
I can see. When you're gone on, I say, ooh. Oh, that's a good tune, buddy. Oof. Guy's got a sick voice. Good Canadian boy. The weekend. Love it. Welcome back. Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hey, there's just some songs you sing out loud. I don't care how good you are. I think I'm a good singer. Far from it, probably. But that's one of those songs. Get you rolling. Get you going on a Tuesday afternoon. How's your day? I hope it's great. Oiler fans, probably in a good mood. Well, you should be. If you can't be in a good mood now as an Oiler fan, I would just ask why. Like, what more do you need? The last 40 games. Because now the Oilers have only played 43. Okay, so they started poorly. But did you know in their last 40 games, they got the best record in the Western Conference? Only Washington would be better in that time. A grand total of 1 point better. Edmonton's been really good. You've wanted a good team for a while. I'd argue you deserve a good team, having lived through the decade of darkness, and really it was a little bit longer than a decade of darkness. You had 1 year where you saw the light in 17, and then it got dark again for a few more years. But 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, now you're into 6 years of, hey, team's pretty competitive. Had a few tough playoff losses, no question. But this is a good team. And they're only going to get better because they're going to add. Make no mistake about it. They've got Kane's 5.125 in LTIR. This is waiting to be spent. They'll accrue maybe close to $1 million. So they'll have some flexibility, more flexibility than they've had at the cap in ever. Ken Holland inherited a team that had no cap space. So they got some room to maneuver here. So I'll be very interested to see what Stan Bowman does between now and 1 o'clock. Well, let's say 2 o'clock, be honest, by the time all the trades roll in on Friday, March 8th. It'll be 7 weeks this Friday. So we're just over 7 weeks away, 52 days to be exact, to find out what the Oilers do and where they improve and who else improves. So should be good. And the Oilers after the victory last night, as we get to the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. They are Alberta's number one Volvo dealership. Also, 13-time Excellence Award winner in sales and service. If you're looking for a great car, how about the XC90 2025 plug-in hybrid? We're going to get 1.99% financing and $4,500 off right now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Stop in, ask for Jordy. Tell him the Gregor Show sent you. You'll get a good deal. Maybe some hair tips. Who knows? The Oilers last night, Stuart Skinner, second time in 3 starts that Stuart Skinner doesn't allow a goal. Now, I can't say 2 shutouts because of the quirky rule. Neither he nor Calvin Pickard will get credit for the shutout. The Oilers as a team got a shutout, but not the individual. Kind of weird. Pickard didn't face a shot, but he came in. He was standing between the pipes for 5 minutes because Stuart Skinner had gotten sent to the concussion spotter. And they deemed he did not have a concussion. So either way, Skinner against Boston. And last night, he was tested more. The Boston game, that was I would say that was a little bit more of an easy. He made a few pretty good saves, but none like last night. Like that save on Kempe. But it was interesting where Skinner felt like he was talking about that play. And he said, you know what? I think I might have, because Kopitar has beat him a few times, he felt. With his shot short side, because you don't want to cheat, even though Kopitar is more of a disher. He goes, I might have over-respected him. Critiquing his own play, it still made an unreal save. And then he made, I thought, a few other really quality stops, as did Darcy Kemper. Darcy Kemper, especially in the third period, I thought was very good. Kept that game 1-0. Edmonton had some really good looks to get up 2 or 3-0. Couldn't do it. And then their struggles, and that's what I want to get to. And it's a legit struggle. It's not one that's cost them yet. It's just one that I find that's somewhat odd. So the Edmonton Oilers, they, the last 3 years, highest scoring team in the NHL. They're the highest scoring team with a goalie in goal. But they're near the bottom when it comes to scoring into the empty net. It's very weird. So with some help from the NHL. Now I have to point out that this includes all the times when you pull a goalie, right? And so the other team pulls a goalie, right? You're 5-on-6. It also does include those short snippets of time where the other team pulls their goalie on a delayed penalty, because that's just how they break it down. There's not an opportunity, unless I go game by game, it's going to take forever to do it. So there's an average, and I was looking, delayed penalty calls sometimes, like how much of those, let's say maybe 2 minutes total. Because lots of times a penalty happens, the other team touches the puck right away, boom. So there's no goalie pulled up. But either way, so it's an even number for everybody else. So the team this year that's had the most empty net time is the New Jersey Devils. They're not great at scoring into empty net either. Then there's the Washington Capitals. They have 14 empty net goals in 41 minutes. The Colorado Avalanche lead the NHL. They have 18 empty net goals as a team. Already. 18. Rantanen has 13 empty net points. McKinnon has 12. You know what the record is? 14. These guys aren't even in game 50. There's only actually been 12 instances in the history of the NHL where a player has finished the season double digits in empty net points. Happened last year. Kucherov had 14. That's when he set the record. There's been a massive uptick in empty net goals lately in the NHL. Because teams pull their goalies sooner than ever before. They'll also pull their goalie when they're down 2 goals, sometimes with 4 minutes left, because they're just playing the odds. They're like, why not? Our odds increase. 6-on-5. Now your odds increase significantly and give up another goal, no question. But they go for it. Then you have Vegas 11, Dallas 11. They've played 39 minutes. LA Kings have 15 empty net goals in 38 minutes. Toronto has 14 empty net goals in 37 minutes. Minnesota has 12 empty net goals in 35 minutes. Now, those are all top teams. New Jersey, Washington, Colorado, Vegas, Dallas, LA, Toronto, Minnesota. Right? All good playoff bound teams. Then you go down to the Oilers. Well, even Florida. Florida has 9 goals in 31 minutes. The Oilers have 6 in 30 minutes of empty net time. 6. Teams with less empty net time, more goals. Detroit, 11 in 29 minutes. Winnipeg, 15 in 28 minutes. Calgary, 10 in 26. Anaheim, 7 in 27. Philadelphia, 7 in 24 minutes. Nashville has 11 goals in 22 minutes of empty net time. Then you've got Tampa Bay at 13 goals in 22:51, and Carolina has 13 goals in 21:58. Now, the worst team in the league in empty net goals is the San Jose Sharks. They only have 2. They also have the least amount of empty net time in 20 minutes because they rarely have a lead late in the game, right? So they don't get a lot of empty net opportunities. But the Oilers, it's just a weird thing how they can't do it. Right, I mentioned the 12 times. All of them except Jagger in 2001 when he had 10 empty net points. They've all happened since 2019. So we're seeing more empty net goals than ever, except from the Oilers. The Oilers have scored the most goals in the league the last 3 years. They're 23rd in empty net goals. And they're a team that wins, right? Like, they get a fair amount of time on empty net. It's just kind of crazy to me. So, like, last night, a little unlucky on McDavid, sure. Connor Brown had 2 opportunities. He's got guys wide open, move the puck. And then Leon Draisaitl, the one. I get the game's close to ending, but it's the point. Look what Arvidsson and Draisaitl did recently. Because the Oilers have actually scored. And here's the funny part. The Oilers have 6 empty net goals in the season. 3 of them came in the last 7 games. Well, really, 3 in the previous 6 prior to last night. And what did the Oilers do? None of this, I'm trying to look for someone else. No, I'm just going to take the puck to the net and put it in the net. Like Leon Draisaitl last night. He's coming down the left side. Like, I could see if Nugent Hopkins hadn't scored a goal in 20 games. Nugent Hopkins has 4 goals in his last 7 games, including last night. He's not suddenly in a funk. You didn't need to try to pass it to him there. It sounds crazy, but they got to get a little bit more selfish. Or have guys where you're going to be 5 feet apart, bang, bang, we're on a 2-on-0, okay, I'll pass it to you so we each get a point. Great. But do what Arvidsson did. Arvidsson looked off Draisaitl in Boston in a 3-0 game, I should add, when Draisaitl needed a point to go for 15 games in a row. Did Draisaitl look upset after the game? Not at all. The other 2 games, Draisaitl, nope, I'm not passing, I'm going right to the net. Skated it right in against both Utah and Seattle. Great. But it's just a weird thing. And it hasn't hurt them because the Oilers in games this season, when the opposition has pulled a goalie, they haven't allowed a goal. So, it's not killing them. It's not hurting them. It's just an oddity that doesn't make much sense to me. And right now, the Colorado Avalanche ability to score on the empty net is why Nathan MacKinnon is ahead of Leon Draisaitl in the scoring race. As I mentioned, MacKinnon has 12 empty net points. Draisaitl has 3. The gap for them in points is 4. And Draisaitl has a game in hand, but he's 4 back of MacKinnon. You take out empty net points, and it's 61 for McDavid and 56 for MacKinnon. Pretty big swing. So, that should be a fun game, by the way, on Thursday. MacKinnon, Draisaitl, Rantanen, McDavid. 5 right now. That's 4 of the top 5 scorers in the league. The only other one in there is Kucherov. Now the Oilers, though, that is a much more difficult back-to-back than I thought. Like, the distance between Minnesota and Colorado is like 1,200 K. Like, it's not close. That's not like Edmonton to Calgary. It's 3 times the distance from Edmonton to Calgary. And you're playing, you get in late, all that stuff. So, again, when you consider all their travel, like, if Edmonton finds a way to win in Colorado, that'll be a very impressive win. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose that game. Just like tomorrow, that's a game the Oilers should win. No Tyler Spurgeon. No Brock Faber. No Jonas Brodin on the blue line. And then, by the way, that guy, Kirill the Thrill, he's out as well. So that is It's a big opportunity. Hey, guys, Kane was the empty net guy. He had a stretch there. I think one year he scored, 4 or 5 goals for empty net, which in Edmonton seemed like a lot. You're right, because it stands out because they don't score a ton. Now, McDavid 1 year in 2023, he had 10 empty net points. So not bad, but Ranton and McKinnon, like those guys are killers right now. And they go for blood, as you should. They attack. They get more situations, sure, as mentioned, because they have a lot of 1-goal games. But, hey, guys, his favor out for sure. Got him in fantasy. I was following the Minnesota writers today, and they weren't. Faber and Kaprizov supposedly skated prior to the main group. And I can't remember the last time a player didn't skate the day before a game with the main group and then played. It's rare. So, sounds like, anyway, it looks like, a break for the Oilers. Scheduling wise tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. And you got to take advantage of it. Like, that's a big advantage. That would be like the Oilers having Ekholm, Bouchard, and Nurse out of their lineup. Imagine that for a second. Because honestly, that's what Spurgeon, Faber, and Brodin are. Right? They're top 3 guys. Right? They still have Middleton, but that's it. So that is an opportunity for the Oilers against the ravaged Minnesota Wild. As the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Dave McCarthy will join us next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And we will look at some matchups. And I see, we've talked a lot about power plays. I can give you an example of a team, not Edmonton, but another team, where they had 1 month where they were unreal on the power play. And there was one very simple common denominator that suddenly has disappeared the rest of their season. We'll find out why next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Carrying up trails or cruising the open road, Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price. With in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts, check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric bed starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15, with more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick. Saving you more.
This year I can't decide what to work on for my New Year's resolution. See, my confidence, my appearance, or my general happiness.
Why not improve all 3 by finally addressing your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vancelia. Receding hairlines and bald spots can chip away at your self-image, make you look older, and feel unattractive. Let's discuss your options for regaining a full natural head of hair and make this the year you get your mojo back. Book a free first consultation today at drvancelia.com.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
It's the place for Honda. It's the place for service too. I love it.
One, two, three, four. You were just 17. Did you know?
Portions of this hour brought to you by UL. Get your power play amped up with UL, supplying the city of champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. UL.ca is your partner in power.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.426. Welcome back. Greg, did you say Colorado has 18 empty net goals? Yeah, that's right. 18. Now, there's a few times where they score two in the same game where, you know what, you're up 2-1, pull the goalie, it's 3-1. The other team still pulls their goalie, 4-1. I counted at least two, and it might be more than that. But they thrive in the empty net goal situation. They have 3 times as many. Now, they've had 10 more minutes, sure, but 40, just do the math, 40 to 30. Edmonton's not close. 18 in 40 minutes or 6 in 30 minutes. Not the same. Not the same at all. Now, let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. Whether it's your sporting event, whether it's a group, team, you got a stag, whatever, they got all sorts of rides at silentrides.ca. As we welcome in from Sirius XM, our regular Tuesday guest, Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. Davey, how you doing, my man?
Starts in Toronto tonight. Should be a good one. Dallas has been rolling.
Well, I guess let's start with Toronto's top line change. And Marner and Matthews are getting a new unexpected winger.
Yeah, Steven Lorentz is going to move up from the fourth line and play on the top line tonight. Not something you ordinarily would expect, but Marner and Matthews have not played very well the last couple of games. The other night in Carolina on Thursday, I don't know, you remember that jacket I wear every year on St. Paddy's Day, Jason, that green jacket that I have?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
thinking about wearing it the other night and presenting it to Austin and Mitch after the game to commemorate their green jacket Masters victory. Each were -6 in that game. But I did not do that. I didn't know if they'd get the humor because it's a little dicey these days. They followed it up. We're not very good the other night against Vancouver, got shut out. And Craig Berube said after the game, we need a little bit more life in our lineup, a little bit more pace. And if there's one thing that Steven Lorentz can deliver, it is life and it is pace. He likes to play physically. He likes to hound pucks. What I'm not sure he will be able to deliver is putting it in around the net if he finds himself in that position. So I think it's really one of those dog days of the season type moves. The guy's been playing well on the fourth line. You throw him a bone, you move him up. You just shift the look of things a little bit. I do not see it being a long-term project. 2 or 3 games, get some life back in the lineup, and then sort of move forward back with Nyes in that role, which is what I would expect it to end up with by the end of the year.
Dave, are you wearing a retro Hockey Night in Canada blazer right now?
No. It looks, very similar.
It looks
color,
like
right?
Well, it's colored. I thought just, that's a pocket square. I thought maybe, I was like, did Dave Hodge lend you his jacket?
I know. Hey, I would never wear that jacket unless I earned the right to do so.
Okay, fair enough, but it's pretty sweet. Now, I see that, there's a lot of frustration in Toronto about their power play. I dug into their power play numbers in November. They were 29% in 12 games in November. And you want to know what happened that month? Tavares, Marner, and Nylander, they shot the puck on a very regular basis on the power play. And like, if you look at the numbers, and I gotta find it because I punched the numbers up, and I have to admit I was quite surprised at just the difference that they had in their lack of shooting the puck from those 12 months to the rest of the season. Has that been an ongoing issue? Like,
yes.
Here I found the numbers. So in those 12 games, Tavares had 16 shots in 35 minutes. Marner had 11 and 36, and Nylander had 10 and 44, and they combined for 10 goals. The rest of the year, Tavares 22 shots in 116 minutes, Marner 9 shots in 102 minutes, and Nylander 12 shots in 112. Like, it's ridiculous how much they would shoot the puck for 1 month and then be scared to shoot the other 3.
And all that transpired in the month of November, right, Jason?
Yes.
Here's the thing that we were bearing the lead on. You know who was not a part of the program? Austin Matthews. And I think what has happened is there's so much of everybody being deferential to Matthews when he is in the lineup. They started terribly on the power play. Matthews goes out, as you point out, it finds life, and we're all laughing to ourselves. And then he gets back, the power play goes back in the tank again. They've got to simplify it, and it's something that was talked about the other night against Vancouver. Again, not only was it unproductive, but it zapped the momentum and the life out of the team when they would get a man advantage, and that can't happen. And a lot of it was passing up shot situations. So I think there's going to be a focus more tonight on when you get into a shooting area, make sure you get the puck on net. Don't shoot for the sake of shooting if there's not a quality chance there. But on a number of occasions, they were in a quality chance on Saturday, and they passed up looking for an even better quality. And that's not going to get you out of a tough stretch. And it has been the case for the power play. And it's becoming a concern, Jason, because as you know as well as anybody, come playoff time, if your power play is going to sewer you on a nightly basis, you cannot win a series. And it has done so, really, for Toronto in the playoffs of late. They got to find a way to figure it out.
Here's an odd one just breaking. Braden Point is not going to play tonight due to missing a team meeting for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kind of surprised.
A little bit, but also they have a high standard in Tampa Bay. And
No, just he missed it is more, not that they are holding him to it, but that he missed a meeting. Like, that's kind of out of character for him.
Missed or late?
Missed.
Yeah, that's odd. So yeah, I can't speak to what happened there. It does not seem like something I would have expected from a guy like Braden Point, who's very much part of the leadership group. So I mean, I guess you hope everything's okay. I guess it is, but I also am not surprised that they will hold him to account. He's not playing because that's how they keep their standard high in Tampa Bay. The rules are the rules, and you adhere to them. I can't remember the last time a guy of his stature has missed a meeting. I mean, the odd time we've all had it happen. You set PM instead of AM on your alarm, and it doesn't go off, and you're late. And it happens. To miss it entirely, I can't remember the last time something like that has happened.
Yeah, no, it is. It's rare. Looking at some of the other teams, are you a believer at all in Montreal or Detroit, or are these just heaters that are going to dissipate quickly?
Well, Montreal probably not. I don't see them being a playoff team this year. They've played incredibly well over the last month or so to climb themselves out of the basement, get themselves into a position where the games actually mean something into the second half of the year, which is great. I mean, that is a sign of progress. But for them to continue this over the long haul, I'd be surprised. I don't think they're there yet from a personnel standpoint. Detroit, I think on paper they should be a better team than Montreal. But as I always say, when you go on a heater like they have done, winning 7 in a row, and last time I checked, they're still not in a playoff position, correct?
No.
Now you got to go out and win 7 in a row again to get yourself just sort of on the periphery of being in the playoffs. If they go out and they win 2 of their next 7, like they go 2-5, well, then they'll drop right back down the standings because of the fact that there is such a logjam in the Eastern Conference right now. So that's what you ask yourself when you start as poorly as Detroit did to get yourself into a playoff position and to solidify it. It's not winning 7 in a row. it's like winning almost 18 of 20. And that's playing outrageous over your head for a quarter of the year. And if you started as poorly as you did, you're probably not capable of playing that level of hockey for that amount of time. So in both cases, no, I don't think I am believers. I still look at the New York Rangers, Jason, and say they're only 4 points out.
Yep.
They've been god awful since I guess really the middle of November, and yet they're still only four points out. Why? Because they actually started really, really well. I believe they were 12-4-1, and that has been able to, I guess, afford them the opportunity to get things rolling again before they completely bury themselves. That team on paper should be better than they are.
Agreed.
And so if they go on a run, it wouldn't surprise me. I still look at them as the team of all of them in that logjam, that if you made me bet, and I would hate to do so, I might bet on the Rangers coming out of it and squeezing into that 8th spot.
What's interesting about the Red Wings is we actually saw this from Detroit later in the season last year. Remember when they won 6 games and everyone's like, oh my God, now they're, and then they lost, I think, the next 5 or 6, and they basically just ruined everything.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was interesting. Now, Todd McClellan, I know after their last game, like they spanked Seattle. They were up 5-0 in the second period. And then they had a mandatory day off that was already pre-planned. And he's like, you know what? I don't really like this because that game after 20 minutes, we were just like, ha, 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 play loose, nothing happens. And now you got the Sharks tonight. And, you'd think, hey, let's keep it rolling. But there's that human element factor that even though you try to tell yourself, don't take it for granted, don't take them for granted, don't overlook them, and teams overlook them, especially since Boxing Day on the 27th of December, we have seen bottom 10 teams beating up on top 10 teams on a very regular basis.
I think part of that is a function of being in the middle of the season, right? I mean, it's the dog days of the season type situation. Leafs are going through it right now as well. You get a little loose. You're not sharp. Your habits slip a little bit. Guys go into slumps because, you're in such a good position in the standings. It's tough to convince yourself that every game means as much as it does to a team like a Detroit or a Montreal who, 3 weeks ago realized, holy cow, if we don't get it together like tonight and go on a run, it's season over with. So you end up, getting some teams that are in different mental places, I think. The other thing is with San Jose, don't sleep on these guys. If you play loose and you give them time and space and you allow them to get through the neutral zone with speed, there's a lot of young talent on this team that loves to play in conditions like that, and they will burn you. So if you're not tight and you're not playing the way you need to play properly, good adherence to details, solid defensively, San Jose will burn you. And that to me seems like it could be a trap game for Detroit. If for no other reason, they've won 7 in a row. I don't think they're that good of a team to begin with. They're bound to lose one at some point.
Looking at the West, we saw Edmonton last night. Connor McDavid say, hey, we beat them at their own game. And I think they know how to beat LA. They can be patient to beat LA. They got a great save from Stuart Skinner. Then they had an unreal play from Leon Draisaitl that led to McDavid's goal on his birthday. 28 years of age, crazy. He's been in the league. This is 10th year.
Yeah.
You look at Edmonton and you look at Vegas, Dave. Now, they're even in games played. They're 4 points separate them. I think first place in the West, not just the Pacific, but first place in the West this year is maybe more important than ever because those top 7 teams, you know what? If you finish first in your division, that means you still got to face the, Colorado or Dallas currently, who'd be battling for that, first wild card spot. Whereas,
I totally
down
agree.
at Calgary or Vancouver, especially unless they're healthy, there's a difference. If you're Edmonton and Vegas and even Winnipeg, do you keep that in mind and you maybe push a little bit stronger because that home ice advantage and to avoid the other teams is very important in the first round?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was talking to somebody from Dallas this morning here at the skate, and they said the same thing that you just did. Like, it's going to be murderer's row to get out of the West. I think the top 7 teams that will be in the Western Conference, top 7 spots in the Western Conference, are all capable of winning the Stanley Cup, which is to say that you will be playing a Stanley Cup caliber team every round of the playoffs this year if you do not finish in first. So that to me doesn't sound all that appealing. Like you're never going to ease your way through to a Stanley Cup, but you can make it easier on yourself than other paths. And winning the Western Conference would go a long way in doing so, because you're totally right. Whoever ends up in eighth, whether it be St. Louis or Vancouver or Calgary, those are not cup contending teams. Everybody else is. So yeah, I do expect them to push, because I do think there is a ton of value on that this year in the Western Conference, just simply because it's going to be so difficult every single round, all 4 rounds. In the East, there's a much easier path through to a later round of the playoffs. It's not going to be easy, but easier than the West without question this year.
Davey, thanks for joining us live from the arena. Enjoy the matchup tonight. Should be a good game. The Stars and the Maple Leafs, their only visit to Toronto this year. So enjoy that. Appreciate your time, my man.
Okay, see you, Jason.
There you go. That's Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. Looking like he was wearing the old those baby blues. Remember the baby blue Blazers on Hockey Night in Canada? The only one better might have been the orange ones. Those are pretty money. But those baby blue ones were sweet. I know lots of guys have them, and they'll dress up. It's a classic Halloween costume. But this Blazer looked tight. Real good. When we come back, 5 questions. Then we got Mark Spector. Lots of texts from you, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inboxes. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Edmonton, get ready to step up your shoe game. The all-new Skechers store is opening its doors at West Edmonton Mall. Join us on January 17th for a grand opening celebration you won't want to miss. We're talking great savings, giveaways, and a special guest appearance. Hockey fans, meet the one and only Paul Biz Nasty Bizanet from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for the first 1,000 customers, we've got a commemorative puck and performance water bottle. But wait, there's more. During our grand opening, enjoy 30% off all footwear and 50% off apparel. From performance shoes to stylish sneakers, we've got it all for the entire family. Your perfect pair of Skechers is waiting for you at West Edmonton Mall. Don't miss out on the biggest shoe event of the year. Skechers at West Edmonton Mall. Grand opening January 17th. Be there.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza. Use code word 40Tuesday at the start of each order at papajohns.ca.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.446. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Hope you are having a fantastic Tuesday afternoon. Busy night in the NHL, 13 games tonight. NFL weekend is set. You have the number one seeds playing on Saturday. KC hosts Houston. Meanwhile, the Lions have the Commanders. And then on Sunday, it's number 2 Bills versus number 3 Ravens. Ooh, should be a heck of a game. And the Eagles 2 versus the number 4 seeded Rams, and the Rams looked really good yesterday. Now, did Minnesota just look that terrible on the O-line? Maybe. But, man, they look good. That should be it. These games look great. Now, I don't give Houston much of a chance, man, I love the Commanders, Cons, but I don't. I think they had a very good rookie season, like a huge turnaround for Mr. Daniels. But you go into Detroit and might be a little bit of a kind of a learning experience, shall we say, for young Jaden Daniels. I think it's going to be a real tough sledding.
I would agree with you, but like you said, what a year for the Commanders, and then going into next year, a lot of cap space as well. $89 million. Like T. Higgins is the guy who gets talked a lot about. Imagine him, maybe wide receiver 1 or 1A, 1B with Terry McLaurin. I think the Commanders have a pretty nice future, actually. So good year. If it came to an end in Detroit, no shame in that for them.
Yeah, no, I would agree wholeheartedly. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. They're clearing out old inventory to make way for new. So you can get up to 70% off clearance items as well. Home decor and pillows, $15. Bar stools starting at $79. You got accent chairs, $229. Upright freezer for only $389, and more at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Brandon and I actually took a walk down to the Brick, Gregor, the showroom here in West Edmonton Mall. Some of the sectionals and couches. Brandon sat in the massage chair for about 15 minutes.
Oh,
yeah. So he felt great coming out of that thing. Question number 1 for you. What was the biggest takeaway from last night's win over the Kings for you?
Well, it's just a reminder that I think Edmonton, from a matchup perspective, LA, they match up very well against the Kings. It would be tight, but Edmonton knows how to beat them at their game, and Edmonton has the better high-end talent.
For me, being able to play in a game like that was the takeaway. During that big stretch they had last season, they showed that they could win those close games. I think that's a really encouraging sign for this team against a team like the Kings that kind of plays that way. You can grind it out, find a way to win 1-0. I think that's a good sign for this team. Well, obviously we know can play the kind of the fire wagon hockey, but playing down like that, good sign. Question number 2. If you're Stan Bowman, is there any interest in John Klingberg as the reports coming out today?
I don't know. I would have to do a real deep dive investigation on him. You'd have to send your guys to go watch and put him. You know how you have to pass medicals, Cons?
Mm-hmm.
Like there'd have to be an intense medical on John Klingberg coming after that hip surgery. Right? He hasn't played a hockey game since Remembrance Day of 2023. So we're coming up on 14 months. Like, how many guys can you have on your playoff roster that you think first of all, when's he ready to play? Like he's interested in playing. What does that mean? Like, are we talking post 4 Nations? Would he sign an AHL deal first for your team and say, you know what, I'll sign an AHL deal just to go play? Show you guys I can play down there first? I don't know. Like, if there was only one team interested, he would. But if there was a bidding war, then he might not have to. And so that's what will come down to for me.
Yeah, 31 games played in the last 2 seasons. Hey, if this is Klingberg from 6 years ago, between that era, obviously he's on an NHL hockey team, and this isn't even a question. But I'd be a little bit worried about getting back in there and that physical brand of hockey in the playoffs. I'm unsure. Like you say, I do the due diligence. I'd take a look, but probably leaning towards no. Question number 3 for you. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, what is your plan for the quarterback position over the next, let's say, 7 months?
That's a really good question. Like Sam Darnold had a really good year, and the last 2 games. So this is one where recency bias, what you see lately. What do you do? I thought there was a lot of things. I didn't love their coaching calls in that game yesterday. I thought their old line got obliterated. I didn't. There's lots of things. Sam Darnold's in the top 5 concerns, no question. So you have him, and then you have a young guy who was injured, Con. So how many reps did he really get? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get any reps in practice. And so you can get some mental reps on the sidelines, but he's rehabbing. So I would, Sam Darnold's probably cost himself some huge money potentially, but I think there'll still be teams. Like, there's not enough quality quarterbacks in the league. So if I'm Minnesota, do I just say, okay, we're going JJ McCarthy, and then what? Like, is he that much more experienced? Like, I don't know. I know Jaden Daniels had a great year, and Caleb Williams had an okay year, but after listening to Warren Moon talk a lot about the patience to just develop these guys, I think you'd be better off ensuring, if you're going to have him. Now, I know they have Daniel Jones, but I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones at all. I would try to have a way to say, hey, Sam Darnold, you're going to come back, and maybe you'll be starting. It'll be a competition. You might be mentor. You might be starter. We'll see. That's what I would do.
I'm with you. I mean, I don't let him leave just because I am still unsure. Like, I think back to, Patrick Mahomes played 1 game his rookie year. They let Alex Smith walk, but that was Patrick Mahomes. You knew what you had with him. It was evident after 1 season.
He was healthy the whole year.
He was healthy, exactly. He played 1 game, brought in Chad Henne as a capable backup, but they knew what they had. With the Vikings, we really don't know what McCarthy is. So I think if it's me, and you're going to overpay him. I saw some people saying, well, he lost some money with this last couple of weeks. No, he wasn't signing a contract. He's getting franchise tagged, and that money doesn't change because of a few bad games. He'll get his money. He's going to be paid quite well next season if it's the franchise tag, which I think is the only option. If they offer him a 1-year deal, Sam Darnold is gone. He's going to go find somewhere where he has a chance to play and be the lone guy. So I think it's a franchise tag, and he'll be back with the Vikings next year. And McCarthy has 1 more year to really figure things out. Question number 4 for you. It was on this day last year. The Detroit Lions won their first playoff game since 1991. So the following teams in a playoff drought, who will win the playoff game first? The Dolphins, who are 24 years, the Raiders, 22 years, or the Jets and Bears, who are at 14 years.
The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 24 years. God, what a terrible organization. What a bunch of losers. It couldn't happen to a better guy. Oh, it's so sad about the owner. So sad. I will say the Bears.
Yeah. 2000 was the year. They beat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime. I like the Bears. I like that pick. The division is what scares me. I think it's going to be tough for them to get out of it. Yeah. Same with the Raiders. So I'm going to lean the Dolphins just because maybe Tua and they can find a way to do it. Wild card spot behind the Bills. But yeah, that's a long streak for those Miami Dolphins.
Oh, long streak for all of them, but yeah.
For the Dolphins.
Like the Jets is consecutive. They haven't even made the playoff.
Yeah.
Right? At least if you get in, you can give your fans a sense. Wow, hey, you know what? We got a week to look forward to it, and then you lose, of course. But at least you get in.
Yeah.
Like the good question is, who makes the playoffs first, the Jets or the Buffalo Sabres, who both will be rolling into next season on 14-year losing streaks?
I go Sabres. Oh, maybe not. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Like, honestly, that's some tough sledding. Oiler fans like, what? 14? God, I thought 10 was long. It was. 10 was really long. Imagine 14 years without a playoff appearance. Oh, is tough.
Final question. It is the versatile Jason Bateman's birthday today. Of all of his work, what is your favorite role or movie or TV show for him?
Go ahead.
I might be in the minority in this one. I really liked Air, like the story of the Michael Jordan shoe deal.
Oh, yeah.
That never
Yeah.
featured Michael Jordan.
All right.
But I like him in his more comedic role. So I'll say Horrible Bosses.
Ooh.
Jennifer Aniston, fantastic in that as well.
I loved him. And like the thing about Bateman, like you're right. He'll play the funny guy, but then he's an Ozark. If I was going funny, I'm going Arrested Development as Michael Bluth. Are you kidding me? That show is so funny. God, it's funny. And like offside funny. I love it. So I will go with Arrested Development for comedy and Ozark for drama. Because he's very different. Like it's extremely different roles. I like it. He's, a really talented guy. Really talented guy. Seems like a really nice guy too.
Yeah. Seems like one of the good ones.
Yeah.
56 years old today.
Yeah. So, Gregor, I'm a Lightning fan. Did you honestly say Points missing the game tonight? Yeah. He's setting out because he missed a team meeting, which that is very surprising to me. Braden Point is like real good character guy, is so focused. So that's very odd. Now it's a one-off. It'll happen. Like, I don't know. They sleep through it. Who knows? But that's a very, now missed it or was late. That's very different too. And like, were you 5 minutes late? Now, so hey, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. But if you're late, you're late. But late, at least you show up. Where if you just miss it, now maybe it's only a 10-minute meeting. Maybe it's only a 5-minute meeting. So who knows? But yes, if you have him in fantasy, try to make a last-second change. No Braden Point tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. When we return, Mark Spector, DVD coming up in hour number 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It is Tuesday, and that means Lotto Max, $50 million up for grabs tonight. Good luck. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. The Oilers flew out to Minnesota today. They will take on the injury-riddled Wild tomorrow. No Kaprizov, no Brodin, no Faber, no Spurgeon. Now, Kaprizov and Faber did skate, but by themselves, not with the team this morning. And it is very rare that they would go from that to playing in game tomorrow night. So Edmonton could get a little bit of a scheduling break here. And remember the last time they're in Minnesota. Ooh, 7-1. Butt kicking. But they'll have to be much better, I would think. I don't think the Wild are going to be that bad. But without those guys, like their defense core, without those guys, you got to be able to take advantage of it a little bit, I would think. Let's get to the Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. If all of a sudden you find yourself late at night, maybe on the weekend, got heat problems, they'll come fix it. Come look at it. No overtime charges. I'll tell you about the Legacy at legacyheating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Busy evening on the ice tonight in the NHL. 13 games on the schedule. Getting going shortly. You'll have the Lightning in the Bruins. Tampa without Braden Point. He's a healthy scratch due to missing a team meeting earlier today. Also, Leafs host the Stars, Sharks in Detroit, Penguins taking on the Kraken and the Ducks in Washington. Flyers head to Columbus. Devils host the Panthers. Sens in New York taking on the Islanders. Blues host the Flames, Golden Knights, and Preds. Jets host the Canucks. Rangers in Colorado, and Utah hosting the Montreal Canadiens in the association. The Pacers taking on the Cavs. Thunder in Philly. Hawks hosting the Suns, and the Kings taking on the Bucks. In the PWHL, one game tonight, Ottawa hosting Toronto. That one gets going shortly here. In the BCHL, there was one game this afternoon as Spruce Grove falls to Okotoks 6-3. Saints now off until the 24th when they'll be in Cranbrook. And from the NFL, Houston Texans wide receiver Deontay Johnson waived after just 2 games in Houston. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 $1,000 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Check out The Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert. The Ridge is a locally owned, upscale neighborhood restaurant offering unbeatable daily features. Open daily at 11:30. Craving something late? Check out their new late-night menu from 8 till close. Enjoy brunch at The Ridge Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays until 2 p.m. Plus, there's open mic night every first Wednesday of the month and live music select Saturdays. Welcoming atmosphere, friendly staff, good times. For more, visit theridgestantalbert.com or social media.
A direct truth about the new year. It's a great time to make a change for the better. Like starting yoga, because bending like that will be easy one day, right? A direct truth about your electricity bill? You can make a change you'll want to stick with. Switch to Direct Energy on a 2-year plan and save up to 30% off the rate of last resort. Terms apply. See directenergy.ca for details.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas services or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call toll-free in Alberta 310-4822.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock. Hello, Oiler fans. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it happened, boys and girls. Noah Philp has been recalled by the Edmonton Oilers. Look for him to get in the lineup tomorrow night against the Minnesota Wild. So Oilers are going to go for a few days, not accruing cap space. They're into LTIR anyway. So calling up Noah Philp doesn't anything to him. You just use more of that LTIR space for the time being. They didn't send anybody down, so they will have an extra D-man and 2 extra forwards on the road trip, unless they're going to send someone else down tomorrow. Now, maybe they'll announce it tomorrow. Maybe Josh Brown just didn't jump on the plane, but he'll stay here with his family for a day and then jet out to Bakersfield. That's very possible. I wouldn't completely be shocked by that either. So either way, Noah Philp will get a debut. Not a debut, but an opportunity to debut as a fourth line center. Because let's be honest, and I expect it to be, I think you got to give Noah Philp a good run here. You got to give him about 10 games. Now, you might not have to play 10 games consecutively, but I think you want to see 10 games from Noah Philp and see what he's got. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. And they focus on underground infrastructure. Maybe you're driving on the Yellowhead. You've seen it there. You're driving in your neighborhoods. You'll see it there when they get all the water underground to make all your water flow. That's what they do at GS Construction. And they're hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. And Spec, I thought he was coming up this month. And lo and behold, Noah Philp gets the recall.
Yeah, I just saw that. And Josh Brown not sent down at this point. So, before we talk about Noah Philp, what I think all of this tells us, like there's this question out there, is Kane coming back, and are they going to use accrued cap space, or are they going to use LTIR, or blah, blah, blah. They're at center in Noah Philp, or do we need a fourth line center? And they got plenty of time here to figure that out. I think this is, it's and if you do have one, Jay, then you go, okay, well, we do have $5 million in cap space. What do you want to go get? So, hopefully things are looking good for the deadline for the Oil.
Yeah, well, they've never had this much money at the deadline. Right, like they used to have to, hey, take this guy, take Sam Gagner so we can make a deal work, and you take William Lagesson so we can get Brett Kulak. And now you still might do that in some instances, but they're going to be able to, to make moves a little bit easier than they have in the past, at least from a cap space perspective. Doesn't necessarily mean from a player perspective, from cap space for sure. So we'll see kind of how it goes. John Klingberg, Spec, you can have interest. But there's lots of guys that, when you're in fantasy football fan, you're interested in the guy. It doesn't mean you're going to, match the guy's asking price. And man, in the case of Klingberg, he hasn't played a game since Remembrance Day. Like, A, I'm only interested in him at probably close to a league minimum. Let's be honest. He hasn't played in a long time. And then B, I gotta send scouts. Like, we're doing a full body physical here. I'm putting through some skating just to see before I even remotely consider anything else.
Where is he right now?
Oh, he's training in the U.S.
Okay, so he's not. What's his situation? Like, is he? Who has him? Is he still? He was Toronto. Is he still Toronto?
No, he's a free agent.
He's free agent, so he's nobody. Okay, yeah. I've been off this afternoon, so I haven't done my diligence on this guy. I know Toronto had him or wanted him, and then
I know he played 14 games and he got hurt. He hasn't played a game since Remembrance Day. Right.
So my point though is he not Toronto? Is he Toronto property?
No, he's a UFA, buddy. He's not a young guy. He's UFA.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at here, because I know they had him. I didn't know if they still had him. So my point is this: can he help you? Right? There's no doubt you're going to get him for the cheapest possible number. There's no money left in the season for this guy. All he wants is a chance to play on a team that's going to get some games in and give himself a chance to earn another contract this coming summer with whoever, because he's not, right now, he needs his showcase, man. He needs a place to play that's not called the AHL. So, the question I would have if you get him, Jay, for $900 and he doesn't play for you, you just send him down. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I don't know if he can play. Does anyone have any idea if this guy's ready to play for a contending team here?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think anybody knows. And so, like, I know, hey, Oiler fans, I get it. They're on it. Everybody knows they need a defenseman. Last night, I think, reiterated even more. You're playing 5 guys. It's a tough game. You know, you go with 5. Emerson plays very well. They want a 6th defenseman. And, you know, Troy Stetcher's been really good, but he's like a 7 on this team right now. And that's just what it's going to be. And that's fine. But And I think he's ready to accept that role, no problem. But so I get, hey, you hear Klingberg's name, and John Klingberg for many years was a hell of a player. Like, he's a player that I'm sure is regretting turning down that deal from Dallas, right? And Dallas is Dallas is giddy. Sometimes, you know what, it works for one side, doesn't work for the other, and it worked out for the Stars. They don't have him because he got the injury. Now, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have had the injury if he went there, but I don't know. When you got the hip like this and they got to shave down the bone, like, that's a significant surgery. And we'll see, like, what's his mobility like to come back to play is one thing. To come back to play down the stretch and in the playoffs is a totally different beast than coming back to play in October.
Oh, hey, listen, like, I guess I'd say this to you. To me, if you bring him in and you send Josh Brown down and, it's after the deadline and he's making $900, he really doesn't impact your cap, right? Very much at all.
No.
So I guess I would think that he's coming in. He's not coming in as a 5 or 6 defenseman. He's coming in as a 6 in Edmonton. Do you think he could do that? Or is he just sheer depth in case of injury? Is he coming in as a 7 and Stetcher's an 8? Yeah, I don't know any of the answers to these questions because I don't know how ready this guy is to play. But we're not, like, let's get something clear here. He's not coming in to play second pairing with Darnell Nurse and jump in your lineup and play 22 minutes a night. That's not what we're talking about here, is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Like, he was a top 4 defenseman for a long time, but now he's coming off an injury. And so I don't like
Edmonton. A couple of crappy years, buddy. That long time was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Well, no, he had, like, last year he got hurt, so he only played 14 games, right? So last year is not, I'm not going to call it a bad year for him. He played 14 games. Like, I don't.
How was he the year before?
Yeah. When he left Dallas, he went to Anaheim, struggled in Anaheim. The team was terrible, but then he got traded at the deadline. In the playoffs, he played 4 games and had 4 points. He wasn't awful then, right? And remember, Toronto signed him to a 1-year deal for $4.25 million. Like, he wasn't, wasn't chopped liver. He just was. There were some concerns about his health, and that obviously came to fruition, right? But he played very well for the Wild. Like, he played pretty well for the Wild. Like, looked a lot like the guy who had been in Dallas before. But I don't know if I don't think you're ever going to see John Klingberg in Dallas when he was a 27, 28-year-old. I'd love to say you can, but that would be a pretty big risk.
Yeah, it's, to me, if he ever gets back to that level, I hope he does. I've met him. I've talked to him. He seems like he's a cool cat. He's a nice guy. There was a really good player, blah, blah, blah. If he ever gets back to that level, it is not going to be this season after he misses however many games. He hasn't played since November. He's not coming back at that level. He needs to get back in the game. He needs to find a team will give him some ice time, and then he needs to, get back playing full time. And hey, maybe he can recapture it. The Oilers have a lot of things going on here. They're trying to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
they don't have time to bring along John Klingberg. John Klingberg, you sign him if he can help you today, not down the road. Not later on. If he can help you win right this second, sign him. If not, what are we doing here, right?
Yeah. No, I would agree. Like, I look at other guys. There's other guys out there that are playing. You don't want to go in the playoffs with Kane and Klingberg and all. Hey, they might be good. Like, Edmonton.
Yeah, no.
Edmonton needs a few more for sure. Now, Kane, you go in there and I said, hey, Kane, let's say you pencil him in as your 4th line left winger, maybe. And if he plays better than that, well, now you're winning. But you've planned the rest of your lineup that you have the top 11, 12 spots filled, and Kane just comes in as an extra guy. That's the way I kind of see it.
I think if he's not going to play all season, that's all you can hope.
Yeah.
You get him in the playoffs. There's no way you're saving a spot for him. You can't afford to do that. And you're right. If a bunch of guys get hurt and Kane comes in and surprises you, he's got some game here and he's ready to go. Awesome. Great. But you can't count on that happening. History tells us the guy that didn't play a game all season long doesn't help you much in the playoffs. I'd love to find the example of a guy who did, but I can't think of one. Can you?
Kucherov, but it was a shorter season.
Shorter season. Yeah, shorter season for sure.
Yeah, he's really
a different guy. He's also one of the very best players in,
I agree.
modern history.
Yeah, I'm not even sure there is any other options. Like Patrick Kane missed 6 weeks and then came back and played great. Mark Stone was out for 3 months, but he had played up until January, even February that year. So that's not even the same. So Kucherov's really the only guy I can think of that, I know there's Landeskog in Colorado here, and there's still talk that maybe he comes back, but I got to believe it when I see it. So that's how that goes.
For sure.
To the game last night, Spec, the Oilers, man, I thought like Emberson played unreal. Darnell Nurse, I thought, played great. Stuart Skinner was fantastic, especially in the first period. And then, Leon Draisaitl just continues his quest to win the heart and makes an unreal play that led to McDavid's birthday goal.
Yeah, it's pretty, there's a lot of good players it takes to win that game. Like I heard Struds earlier and I was laughing at you and him. But he's right. It's good. It's fun hockey because every single play matters, right? In a 1-0 game. And, Edmonton made a play. And that's why LA's coach was so sour at Laferriere, because he took the needless penalty. He couldn't handle it that McDavid drilled him. He took a dumb penalty that led to the 4-on-4 that everybody in the building knew advantage Edmonton in a 4-on-4, and it's the only goal in the game. Yeah. And Jim Hiller was sour at Laferriere. The guy didn't play another shift the rest of the game, which is very rare. So it was awesome. Like Skinner gave you the saves early. The team rallied around. I'd say to you that he made his best saves in the first 15 minutes of that game, and the rest of the time he was just rock steady, but he didn't have to be an acrobat because the defensive posture of the Oilers was excellent the rest of the night. And, I thought Connor McDavid's quote was pretty accurate. I think we beat them at their own game 1-0, and I kind of thought the same thing, didn't you?
Oh, God, yeah. But we've seen Edmonton do that before. They've won 1-0. They've won 2-0 over the Kings. Wow. And I really thought, Spec, the second and third period, Edmonton completely controlled that game. They didn't give up as much. And in the third period, when they were leading 1-0, the thing that I liked was they didn't sit back. They kept pressing. Darcy Kemper was excellent in the third. Otherwise, that's a 2 or 3-0 game.
Well, they certainly, I was, on their behalf, I was a little worried because they had a ton of chances in the first half of the third period. Like LA started to open it up, right? They realized, okay, we got to get a goal here. And when they opened it up, the Oilers prayed and had a ton of chances to make it 2-0. The 2-0 goal would have been huge in that game. And they didn't get it, right? They didn't get it. They didn't finish. They didn't bury it. And I thought, you know how this always ends. Ekholm off the bar and all those things. But you know what? I kind of think it's better to win a 1-0 game. Like they had to take that sucker right down to the, to the 60th minute to get the 2 points. And that's a game that it works in the dressing room, boy. That game works in the dressing room. And, you mentioned they only used 5 defensemen. Well, the Kings only used 4.
Yeah.
Look at your game sheet. They only really used, they had a drop-off after their 4th guy. So that's a team win right there, man. That's a big team win for the Oil, and they'll be happy with it.
Oh, I would think so. It'd be massive for them. Now, tomorrow they go into Minnesota, Spec, and the Wild, man, are they ever banged up. And big guys, Kaprizov's out, Spurgeon's out, Brodin's out, Brock Faber. That's big 3 of your top 4 defensemen. I look at this road trip, like that Colorado game. I look at all the travel Edmonton has done up until now. And then you throw in, they go to Minnesota. Then, Minnesota, Colorado is no joke for a back-to-back, right?
No joke.
No joke at all. It's 2.5 hour flight. So I look at that Colorado game and say, okay, you always want to get a split, man. You need that game in Minnesota. My question to you is, who do you think starts in goal? I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Pickard.
Yeah, because it's a back. I mean, there's 2 sides to this question. It's a back-to-back. You're going to use one guy one game, one guy the other. We'll all agree on that. I think that they probably decided 3 weeks ago which guy was going to get which game. So I think we'd agree on that. What I wouldn't know is, gee, Skinner just played so great. Do you want to come back with him? Or do you say, no, we had Pickard playing in Mini and we had Skinner in Colorado and we're sticking to our plan? To finish my thought, their rotation's been strong. Their goaltending has been pretty good, and they don't usually deviate from the plan. So if you made me predict, I would say it goes Pickard then Skinner. How about you?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what they're going to do. And I do know that if you asked Skinner, he'd rather play the first one after playing this last game. They kind of like to play like every second day if you could. But I think it's, Pickard played very well last time. He's played pretty well against Minnesota. He was also there when they spanked him 7-1. And, sometimes, hey, you go with your starter on the second night. It's a little bit harder for him. No question. Like, Stu Skinner's might have to win the Oilers a game, and I think that's really tough. Like, Colorado's offense is pretty good, but that's going to be a real tough back-to-back.
Oh, listen, the Oilers have been playing such good hockey here. Like, go back a little here. They beat Anaheim, then they got to go on the road the very next night to Seattle to start a 4-game trip. They win that game. Then they go across the country and they play Boston, tough game, Boston Gardens. Boom, 4-0 win. Then they mess it up against Pittsburgh. Come back against Chicago, they get behind. You think, they're not playing very good. It's the end of a trip. They suck it up, find a way, right? Win that game, come home to a tough LA team. They're tired as hell, and they got that game out last night. Like, what are they, 5 of their last 6 or something? There's no possible way you could ask this team to play much better than they're playing right now. They're really playing well. So, whatever their plan is, whatever their game plan, whatever they got going in Mini, I can't. They're going through a really tough stretch, and they're doing it at about an 850 clip, Jason. I don't know how you get any better than that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no,
hey. How you get much better than what they're doing right now, man.
Edmonton's, since it's funny, you go back to even they played 43 games, they started 0-3. In their last 40 games, they got the most points in the Western Conference. Like, they're playing well, and it's going to be a hell of a race because Vegas is playing great too. And I think first place in the West with Winnipeg, Vegas, Edmonton, that gets you that second wild card team. And I really think with 7 good teams in the West this year, not the wild card's going to be chump change, but it's going to be easier than the top 7. And I think that could be huge. That might be the difference because, man, it is going to be, I don't care which teams are in, it is going to be a slobber knocker fest in the playoffs this year in the West. You've got 7 of the top 9 teams.
No, I got you. I was looking today. I think Calgary's the second wild card and Colorado's the first.
Yeah.
I think we all can appreciate there's a pretty big difference between those two teams. Are you kidding me? So, first place would be nice if you can get it.
Yeah, for sure. Spec, have a good one, my man.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Let's take a quick break. DVD will join us. We'll talk a little bit about the new soccer coach for Canada's women's soccer. She comes in. Lots of hopefully you get rid of all the baggage that's gone out, and no more drones. Like I want to make a joke about it. Sometimes I think you got to have a little bit of humor in certain situations. You walk in, hi, nice to meet everybody. Just wanted to say, not a fan of drones. Right? Have a little laugh, get it out there, and then you move on. Wouldn't be bad. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores. With even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Friday to Monday, they're blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price. with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to find mattresses starting at $149, fabric beds starting at $199, gaming chairs starting at $119, and home decor and pillows from just $15. With more deals in every department. Plus, take 4 years to pay with no interest. Financing OAC. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
Diablo Boots in Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
It's the place Honda. It's the place for service too. I love it. I love my Honda place. Would you buy? Would you buy? Would you buy? It's the
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:25. Welcome back. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you're just joining us, it is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Live at Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as well as sports1440.ca on the iHeart radio player app. Thanks as always. Wherever you're watching, listening, consuming the show, we very much appreciate it. And the Edmonton Oilers have recalled Noah Philp. He will be joining the team in Minnesota, and look for him to play against the Wild tomorrow night. No other moves, so the Oilers will be now with Kane on LTIR. They can, like you can have. Well, they currently have the 23-man roster. Obviously, that's the max you can have for healthy bodies. I would think after the back-to-back games, they could make an announcement on a player roster move if they like. I could see it happening. And then they go to Vancouver, and then they'll come home for that, extended homestand of 6 games. Now, they might keep everybody up here if they can, but because, obviously they're not accruing cap space anymore. And that just shows you that, now you do have the LTIR space, but that accumulates as well. So, I why would you keep that many guys if you don't need to? Like, you don't need 3 healthy scratches every night. I don't think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you got some guys you don't want to play. So, or not play that often, I should say. So now I'll be curious. So if Philp comes up, there's your 4th line center. Are you taking any wingers out from last night's game, or is this going to be game number 3 in a row for Jeff Skinner? We'll find out that out tomorrow at the morning skate. Now let's get in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. You want to take action on your savings, whether you need solar on your home or your business, they can help you out. ActionElectrical.net. Derek Van Diest from NHL.com, of course, big hockey guy, but also a huge soccer guy. So DVD, before we get to the hockey, I want to talk, what are your thoughts on Canada's new coach for the women's national team?
Well, from what I hear, I don't know her very well. Obviously, she captained England, so she's very experienced, someone that knows the game very well. And I just think they need to bring someone in here that's going to try and repair the program, because I think the program is really, right now, it's damaged just the way it was handled with the drone scandal and things like that. So I think they got to bring someone in here that has a good reputation, can really kind of get the most out of the players, because I think the women's team has some good young players coming through the system. Canadian women's soccer has always been strong, and they've always had a good development system. They've always had good grassroots program. So I think they have a good team coming through the system, but they just need someone to kind of bring that program back from that scandal, from disrepair. And I think she'll do that job. I think she'll do a really good job, and I think she's well respected throughout the soccer community. And you don't get to captain your country for no reason. So when you become captain of England, you know that you're doing something right. So I think it was a good hire by the Canadian women's national team, and hopefully she can start working on kind of mending some fences here that were torn down with Bev Priestman's tenure.
Yeah. I joked beforehand. First thing I would say in the meeting, if I was her, hey, not a big fan of drones. Just sometimes you got to talk about the elephant in the room and then move on. I know I saw some comments already from veteran players. You talked about her skill set as a player herself, and she has some coaching experience for sure. So we'll see if they can turn the page after what was just an awful chapter, and really an unnecessary chapter when you think about it. Like, how ridiculous having drones over the practice. Just dumb.
It is dumb, and it's I don't understand what you're going to get from that. You have game film of teams, and you can go pour through those game films. I don't think you're going to get anything out of practice. So yeah, it's just not worth the risk. It's not. There's no risk reward there, but unfortunately, it felt like there's some people did speak up and say, hey, this is not right. What we're doing here is not right, and it became a culture thing where if you weren't willing to cheat, then they didn't want you as part of the program. And I think that's where it starts. Is you got to kind of get rid of that, and you can't have whistleblowers afraid to say, hey, we're doing the wrong thing here. We got to get this thing back on the rails. And I think that's what they got to do here is they got to clean house and start all over and get people that aren't afraid to say when something they see is amiss or something is wrong, that they're not afraid to speak out and say, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing things this way. There's a way to play the game. The sportsmanship is there. Like it's not win at all costs, I think. And I know that's old saying is if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But this is a team that has a lot of young players looking up to them and seeing what they're doing, and they have a big influence on some of these young players. And I tell that to coaches all the time when I'm refereeing. Hey, listen, the way you act, the way your players are going to act. So if the young players see that, hey, Canada, they're getting away with this. Maybe we can kind of try and find a way to cheat. No, that's wrong. You're role models at the top of that game, and you have to present yourself as such to some of those younger players that are looking up at you and pretty much doing the things that you're going to do.
Now let's move to the orders. Noah Philp DVD being talked about for a while. I thought they want to at least try. Everybody knows they want to upgrade their fourth line center spot. You got a 6'3", 26-year-old veteran who can kill penalties. He's physical, skates very well. Didn't look out of place in the very brief time he was here the first time. But I'm kind of curious to see Noah Philp get a little bit of an extended look between now and the Four Nations break.
Yeah, and I think he's going to. I think this is a situation. I think we've talked to Chris Knobloch about this before, that they probably want to get a good look at him, maybe 15, 20 games, see if he can play at this level or see if they have to upgrade this level. Because sometimes you may have an upgrade internally and not know it because you never gave a guy a chance to kind of show that he can play at this level. You're not going to get anything out of him 1 or 2 games. You got to give him an extended look. And obviously it looks like right now, like Derek Ryan's kind of falling off. It looks like Jeff Skinner is not getting out of the doghouse anytime soon. So there's an opportunity that's been presented there. Noah Philp can come in here and do what they expect out of the fourth line, work hard, grind things out. I think there's an opportunity there for him. He's obviously a great story, but you're right. He's a big guy that can skate. He's very skilled. And he did not look out of place at all when he was up here in the preseason. I think that's something that everyone is excited for. They want to see what he can do when the games matter, when the games count, and if he can bring that physical element and that tenacity and that hard forechecking style to that bottom six. I think it's going to be a good thing for the Oilers. But they have to know what they have in him, and I think right now they're not sure. But this will give him an opportunity to kind of show what he can do.
Yeah. The Oilers last night. It was not. It wasn't. It was funny. It's a 1-0 game that wasn't really boring like a 1-0 game. The first period, wasn't great. Definitely for Edmonton, except Stu Skinner. He was awesome. But After that, DVD, just kind of built some momentum. There's a little bit of grease. Kempe got away with a slew foot, although today he got fined $5,000 for a slew foot on McDavid. You had it's funny, Laferriere, McDavid hits him. Laferriere didn't like it, picked him up. And then, that 4-on-4 really led to the only goal of the game. And that was the difference.
Yeah, that was the difference. And my understanding is Laferriere didn't have a shift after that. Jim Hiller was not happy with that penalty, very undisciplined. He was not happy that the resulted in a goal. Obviously, it all worked out. It was 4-on-4, but Hiller was asked after the game, and he just said he didn't want to discuss it. But yeah, he was not too happy with that play. And what impressed me about the Oilers, obviously, is when you go into the third period, a goal up, you have to be able to kind of lock it down and shut it down. And I thought they had a very good third period. I thought they took the play to Los Angeles. They tried to extend the lead. They had chances to extend the lead. And even though the Kings did have their chances, I thought Edmonton played a really, really solid third period. It was very reminiscent of that third period during the 16-game win streak last year when they would go up a goal. You got a sense that, they're not going to give up the second one here. They're playing really well. And I think you're starting to see that. I know earlier in the year, they would give up that tying goal or they would blow light leads and then have to pull the game out in overtime. But I think that's probably what they were most impressed with, is that they were able to hold on to that lead and really not give up a ton of quality opportunities in the third period. In fact, they probably had the better chances in the third period.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kemper played well. Both goalies played well. The only struggle for the Oilers was scoring onto an empty net, which has been an odd struggle for them for the majority of the last 3 years, oddly enough. Ty Emberson, just continues to improve. Like when I look at Paul Coffey's usage of Emberson this year, you know what? He gave him a role of being a number one penalty killer. It's an important role, but it's like, a minute 43 a game. It's not a crazy number of minutes. But then 5-on-5, he doesn't play a ton. And he's just, he's never been overwhelmed because I think the coaching staff has been very good in how they've used him. And you just build up his confidence and slowly give him a little bit more and then slowly give him a little bit more. And last night in a really big game, they gave him a lot and he played exceptional.
Yeah, he's coming along, and you forget how young this defenseman is. He only had 40 games in the NHL before he came over here. And, what's the old saying? They say you really don't know what you have till you've played 200 games as a defenseman in the NHL. So he's got a ways to go still. But, no, I obviously like the way they're deploying him. They're giving him, opportunity. They're putting him in situations where he can succeed. He's not getting overwhelmed. But he's a talented guy, and I know that when the Oilers traded for him, there were some good things coming out of San Jose about how talented he was, about how well he skated, how well he moved the puck. And we're starting to see that now, and he's playing with a lot more confidence. So, yeah, this is a guy that when you're a defensive defenseman, you don't really want to be noticed a lot. So if you go through the game and you're like, I didn't really notice Ty Emberson at all, that means he did his job. That means he wasn't getting beat. That means he wasn't losing puck battles. How we dissect every little play here. If some guy gets beat in the corner, we all know about it. So I think when he has a quiet night for a defensive defenseman is a good night. And he's having a lot of those where he's doing the little things right. He's doing the little things well. And not only is he gaining confidence, but I think he's earning the confidence of the coaching staff as well to put him in different situations. And I think, it's going to work out well for him. A lot of people are talking about bringing a younger guy in here and how he's going to play, replacing Cody Ceci. But I think right now we're starting to see him turn a corner. And he's developing more and more confidence as the season goes along, which is natural. The more you play, the more confident you're going to be. And he's getting up, he's inching towards those 200 games where you really get an idea of what kind of defenseman he's going to be in the National Hockey League.
Do you think the Kings could beat the Oilers in the playoff series?
Yeah, I think they can. I think
really,
it's tough. When you go up against a team for the fourth time in a row, I know that the Kings' issue is they can't score. Like they have problems scoring. So they got to play well defensively. They got to do a lot of those things. But, it's a matter of to me, you're rolling the dice when you're trying to beat someone 4 times in something. Like, it's tough to do 4 times in a row. So, this is a team that's improving. They have a lot of good young talent. They're going up. It's arrow up, as Tom Rennie used to say all the time. They got some good young players. They got some speed. They got good goaltending. So I think, when they get Drew Doughty back, they're obviously going to be a lot better team. So, I think this is a team that the Oilers would rather avoid in the first round. And I think that's why they're really going to make a really strong push to finish at top of the division because I don't think they want to play Los Angeles for a fourth time. It's just the odds. Eventually it's going to fall through, and that's a team that can kind of really surprise you and come up with a big playoff win. And yeah, just I think over 7 games, I think they could give the Oilers some trouble, but they have to score more goals. I think that's the one thing with Los Angeles right now. Saw it in Calgary before they came in Edmonton. They really struggle scoring goals, and they struggle playing from behind. So that's something that they're going to have to address. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the 4th time in a row. And the Oilers have beat them 3 times already. To me, it's just the odds. Like eventually something's going to give, and I'd be a little concerned if they drew the Kings in the first round.
On out-of-town scoreboard, Jack Eichel is back for the Vegas Golden Knights. He was out for an illness, but he comes back in, so that's big news for them. As the Oilers, hey, they're tied, and each 43 games. So you have down the stretch, they got 39 games to go. It's going to be watching the out-of-town scoreboard every night between the Oilers and Vegas, and unless one of these teams gets really hot and the other one gets cold, which hasn't happened now for the last 2.5 months. So I think it's going to be an excellent race down the stretch between these two. DVD, as always, we really appreciate your time. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Of course, the Oilers are into Minnesota. You're going to see Noah Philp tomorrow. And, now you just got another body. It makes it more difficult. So, Jeff Skinner was getting in the lineup when you would move Janmark to center. Well, now you got a 4th-line center. Who would you take? Which winger out of the 8 who played last night would come out of the lineup to put in Jeff Skinner? I'm not sure you can. Now, back-to-back, maybe you could rest everything, whatever. But I'll be, Corey Perry might not go back-to-back. I could see that. But I don't know if Jeff Skinner gets in tomorrow either. We'll see. We'll come back, discuss that and more. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our UL inbox. It is The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
A Bedtime Story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by during the 2024 model clear-out and take advantage of January rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at river3resort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza using the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through. Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Early, it's busy night in the National Hockey League. 13 games, but of course, the Wild and the Oilers, two of these 6 teams who are not playing tonight. But out-of-town scoreboard watching Oiler fans, Vegas, of course, is back in action tonight. And they will be in Nashville taking on the Predators. You got the Canucks in Winnipeg taking on the Jets. The Avalanche, who the Oilers face on Thursday, are hosting the New York Rangers, who are scrapping to try to get back into the playoff race. They got the Flems in St. Louis. They play tonight and Thursday in St. Louis, something I wish the NHL would do more often, to be honest. I'd love to see, like, let's say you're an Oilers fan and Colorado comes to town Tuesday, Thursday. How awesome would that be? Right? Even if it was St. Louis this year, there was a little extra juice there just because of the offer sheets. Dallas, Edmonton, Minnesota, back-to-back nights. Lots of options. What about on the off chance like Vegas? What if to me in January and February, it's kind of the dog days of the year. That gives you a little bit of something to look forward to as a fan. It's like, man, my Vegas game. Well, which one are you going to? Maybe you get to go to both. Right? Maybe, who knows? You split your tickets with someone, you go to both. To me, I just think it adds a little extra juice in the regular season. You don't do it all the time. But when you look at the schedule and, you think about it, like if you could cut down on that extra flight and extra travel and everything else, that makes a difference. You do that 3 times, just 3 times over the course of the year. Right? Maybe you do it 4 times even. Right? 4 out of 41 road games. Just 10% of your season. It's not a road season. It's not a huge amount. Like you could go to LA once and do 2 games in LA, 2 games in Anaheim. Then you go to San Jose, you do the 2 games there maybe. Right? Like there's different options. Seattle, whatever. Pick the team. I don't care. I just think it would be something the NHL should look at, honestly. It reduces travel. It adds a little potential extra animosity during the dog days. No question. Hey, Greg's random thought. I thought the job Dave Cameron did as coach of Canada was the worst I've seen since Tim Hunter was the coach. What are your thoughts, Mark? Yeah, when Hunter was there, that wasn't. They weren't the overly creative team. He was somebody who I thought really was a wolf in sheep's clothing as far as a good, positive, upbeat coach. Great as an assistant coach and the head coach. No, was not liked at all. Not already respected at all either. And all you got to do is look at the Moose Jaw teams he had. Look how many players he has that went on to the NHL, and they had very little playoff success there. When if you have guys who don't want to go through a wall for their coach, because their coach has a tendency to like to, embarrass players at times, it's not going to work. And how he was able to just there being rumblings and rumors of how he treated kids, and they just kept glossing over it until he gets to Canada, and boom, it came falling down. But Dave Cameron, different personality for sure. There's a lot of things. I didn't like the whole selection process from the coaching staff to the players, and then the usage of the players. It simply was a failure. The numbers don't lie, and it was. Hey, Gregor, just what that guy said, the Kings can't score, but they just played the Oilers to a 1-0 game. All they need is a bad goal, etc. A few flukes and bang, they'll beat you in the playoffs from West End Juan. That's one game, man. But they still didn't win. What ifs, right? What ifs don't matter. All I know is the LA Kings lost in 7. Then they lost in 6. Then they lost in 5. And really, what happened in the past has no bearing on this year. It's not the odds are eventually they'll win. No, there's different players. Is McDavid and Draisaitl still on the team? Are they the dominant forces? Now, the wild cards are injuries and health and lots of things. And Darcy Kemper's good. But the real big question is, what we wouldn't really have answered until the playoffs are come, can the Kings kill off the Oilers' power plays? That's what cost them the series. Break down the numbers. Edmonton scored 25 power play goals in 18 games. 25. It's like a goal, 1.3 goals per game on the power play in the playoffs. You're starting every game basically 1-0. They couldn't answer it. And so that would be the question. Now, did you notice the Kings last night? They got a lot more aggressive on their penalty kill. But Edmonton has shown time and time again they can adapt. Now, they are better 5-on-5 now, too. No question. But you would respect LA, no question. But you asked me to play LA or Vegas, I'm taking LA all day, every day. All day, every day. I don't think, their top-end guys aren't as good as Edmonton's top-end guys. And Edmonton's look at Edmonton's roster last night. They're still going to add. Now, they'll get Drew Doughty back. That's going to help them a lot. And by the way, Brant Clark, I got to say, Brant Clark's got a little greasy side to his game. I didn't really notice. You know what? It's like Mickey Anderson's rubbing off on him. That's not a bad thing. You need more villains. But you just see him just little subtle things, headlocks here, little greasy shot here or there. Good for him. Rookie's playing well, but he can't play top minutes in the playoffs. I'm sorry. That would be, that's how you lose playoff series. Just doesn't have the experience yet. But then they get Drew Doughty back. That'll be a big addition. No question. But do they have the speed down the middle? And unless they add a scorer, how are they going to outscore you? Unless they add a scorer, how are they going to outscore you? Because Edmonton is showing if you want to play low scoring, they'll play low scoring. They've done it. So that's how it is. Hey, guys, I'm not comparing Skinner to McDavid or Draisaitl. I know he's not played as expected, but if McDavid and Draisaitl always want the puck like you had mentioned earlier and Skinner likes to carry it, then how do McDavid and Draisaitl play so well together? They both like the puck. I understand Skinner's not deserved first-line opportunities, but he's shown he knows how to put the puck in the net in previous years. Is this solely on his defensive limitations? Just curious. From Randy. Well, first of all, it's not so much carrying the puck. It's how quickly they move it to each other. And so Draisaitl and McDavid, when they play together, sure, does Draisaitl give the puck a little bit more to McDavid? Probably. I'd have to count it. You know what? But there's odd times, where he'll carry it. Because Jeff Skinner, it's not so much he's a transporter of the puck, because he's not. He doesn't have the speed. But he'll just hold on to it a little bit longer. Now, in the offensive zone, that's fine. But when you're in the defensive zone or the neutral zone, and Edmonton likes to attack off the rush, that's where McDavid's bread and butter is. You got to give him the puck. It's the one thing Nugent Hopkins does incredibly well. Just watch it, how many times, and it's some people, it's easy. Anybody can do it. No, it isn't. It's not that easy. Otherwise, everybody would do it. Right? It's first of all, the NHL is never easy. Second of all, accurate, consistent passes on the tape is not easy. Okay, it's just not. There's NHL guys who can't do it. Never mind kids at any level. It doesn't happen, get it away quickly, effectively, right in stride. So not in their skates sometimes. Majority of the time, it's boom. And the odd time it's in their skates, yeah, they'll catch it because they're NHLers. But Skinner, I thought he's tried to improve his defensive game, sure. It's not his bread and butter, right? He's not that quick. He's not that big or physical. So he'll have to adjust his game. I think he's trying. But it's hard to do on a team who's going for the playoffs. That's just how it is. And then the other thing is, Podkolzin and Kapanen, in their opportunities, I think they've been better. Right? They're bigger, they're quicker, they're better defensively. They kill penalties, so they add more. If they're not scoring, what are they doing? And Kapanen's actually scoring at a higher rate than Skinner. 5-on-5 since he's come here. Right? Podkolzin, everybody knows, he doesn't score as much. But he's got a different role, and he does some things that Skinner can't do, and that they really like him. So, It's more about Skinner. Like Skinner can transport the puck when he plays McDavid, and Draisaitl's just not his game. Everybody, we got back-to-back. Again, tomorrow's show, The Business of Sport at 4 o'clock. I'm telling you right now, you are not going to want to miss it. Former COO in the National Hockey League. He built a whole package on over 25 years of research on how to build a championship team. LA used it. They won twice. St. Louis used it. They won once. Tampa's used it. They've won twice. We'll break down what it entails tomorrow, 4 o'clock. On behalf of Connor Halley, I'm Jason Gregor. Sports 1440 update brought to you by eWell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, ewel.ca. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. The following games are at the first intermission. Bruins up on the Lightning 2-0. No Braden Point for Tampa after he missed a team meeting today. Also, Leafs Stars tied at 1. Sharks up on the Red Wings 2-0. Penguins and Kraken tied at 1 apiece. The Ducks in Washington. Caps leading 2-0 there. Jackets and Flyers tied at 1. And midway through the first, Devils and Panthers scoreless, as are the Sens and Islanders. Later tonight, Blues hosting the Flames, Golden Knights in Nashville. Jets take on the Canucks, Rangers in Colorado, and it's Utah taking on the Montreal Canadiens. In the association, the Caps right now lead the Pacers 52-44 in the second. Also in the second, it's all Thunder. They lead the 76ers 53-38. SGA with 14 points so far. Later tonight, Bulls take on the Pelicans, Kings in Milwaukee, and the Nuggets up against the Mavericks. PWHL after 20 minutes. Ottawa and Toronto tied at 1 apiece. And some news from the NFL. The Houston Texans waiving wide receiver Deontay Johnson in the BCHL. Earlier today, the Saints falling to Okotoks 6-3. They're now off until the 24th when they'll be in Cranbrook. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with the Kevin Carius Show. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.